Mm, mm. Oh yeah, I'm with this, I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. That's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk.
All right, y'all. Ain't no half step Marcus J live from NewDen. Legacy of the radio. The block is hot, and I'm feeling it, and I'm loving it. And I am an instigator, and I am instigating the start of our show right now. It is called Ain't No Half Stepping with Marcus J. We alive right now.
Yeah. It's about that time. It's about that time to get. Yeah.
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
Ain't no half step with Marcus J is live. We in the building. Be down with us tonight. We appreciate everybody that is rocking with us, and got a little bit of a late start, but that's all right. You know why? Because we black folk, and every once in a while we on our time, right? You know, that's how we do it. It's all good. No, absolutely not. Because the truth is, John and me weren't ready. Yeah, we weren't.
So you might be trying to be sweet.
John and me weren't ready. But let's get the salutations in. You hear the brother join us across from me in his perch across the room from me every single week. He co-hosts the show along with our next special guest who I'll join. I'm trying to fill the intro here so that he can grab the mic and start. I was like feeling. You can hit,
no.
you can,
Like
yeah,
stay
you know
right
what I
then and
mean.
there.
I
Let me
was
finish.
waiting on you to
Here's,
finish.
here's the co-host, John Green.
John Green. Everybody.
Everybody, John Green. What's up, man?
What's going on, sir? How are you?
I think it's gonna be one of them shows tonight, man.
Yeah, I feel like.
I really, yeah,
Y'all
man.
need to stay tuned.
Yeah, I think y'all
Look,
need to stay
listen,
with us tonight.
I'm doing my job as associate producer.
Yeah, man. It's gonna mess around and be one of those shows. So let's see.
I didn't.
Couple of folks before we introduce our next special co-host of our show. Let's see, and I'm multitasking, y'all. We getting some love from our brother Uncle H is checking us out.
What up, Unc?
Uncle H, what's up, man? You done walked into something, Uncle H. We in here doing like family sometimes do, and we just in here fussing. Peace to the brother Mike King. He's checking us out. He said he loves the intro. Peace to you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. So you can hear her. She sit next to me. She's right there. She's co-host of our show. She sits on my right side because she is my right hand. My sister and yours, Steph B. What's up, JB?
I don't know. I think my locks are giving me extra black lady energy.
Oh, for real?
I'm feeling it.
For real?
Yeah, I got a little hang time. I'm doing me.
I like it though. It's hanging on. It's got a little thing, and then you don't work the bow in too.
You know I'm not.
And it matches your shirt.
Come on, all day. I have over 100 bows. I know how to.
I'll be damned. Let me find out. You in the bows like me in the glasses. Like
That's
the chances
right.
you see me.
Cap.
Oh yeah, the chances you see me with the same pair 2 times in a row. Like no. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio, and she's right on time. She said good morning, and I'm glad she did because I really needed. We really needed you, sister, to be right there with us because we got a late start. We in here fussing at each other and doing what we do. Yeah, I'm telling on us. They can see it. It's the cameras on, right? But we're gonna look into the camera and we're gonna greet you like we do every single week, and we're gonna say good morning, Sue. Yeah, have Steppin with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. All right, so we gonna get right to it, y'all. Y'all ready to get right?
Let's go. Let's go.
We got a lot to get into. Let me just make sure that I got all of the salutations accounted for before I move us on, because I'm not trying to miss anything and I'm not trying to miss anybody's comment here. But all right, so let's do this. Let's talk about the former president who said that he's about to be arrested. Now, normally I wouldn't be talking about this dude because I promise you I'm fully done talking about the 45th president, right? I haven't even said his name because I'm just not feeling the dude. But he talking about he want people to protest, y'all. He want people to protest, y'all. So I guess he dragged it out of me because that'd be about the only way that he'll get me to talk about him. Now, let me get a couple of more hits in here because we're getting some more love here. We're getting some love from our brother Barry Farmer of the Barry Farmer Morning Show. Is checking us out. One of the dopest shows that you can find in syndication. So
if you want to laugh,
you gotta tune in. You gotta tune in to the Barry Farmer Morning Show.
Drop his signal.
Yeah. Drop. Put something in here, Barry, to let folks drop your information, how they can find you, listen to you one-on-one, the fam. Shout out to Tech and the family over there. Michelle is saying hi, Mama Michelle.
Hi,
and she's saying, hey, everybody.
I feel like Michael was going, we love you,
I did
auntie.
too. Yeah, I did too. Did you see me just there? I just like the shoulders just came in like that. Yeah.
She originally she wasn't digging the auntie thing, but she just got dope auntie energy.
Hey,
I mean, come on. How many aunties are like?
I got an opportunity to hang out with her,
and doing
she fed us. She fed us. You're
not gonna leave hungry.
She fed us.
Yeah.
My sister JoJo is checking us out all the way from Jersey City, New Jersey. It don't take long. I always get somebody from Jersey to show us some love.
Your Jersey City people are.
Yeah, man.
I gotta say, you created some loyalty. Absolutely.
Uncle H said that we are first class. So
Oh,
You
thanks,
know what?
son.
thank you, Uncle H. And Barry has put in the website
Awesome.
www.barryfarmer.com. So wonderful morning show, syndicated. You know, you
Yeah.
can catch him live or you can catch him in his archive. So we appreciate you, Barry, for rocking with us. We're gonna roll with you. All right, so let's get to the topic, the first topic of tonight's show, and we got a lot to get to.
Agent Orange.
We're gonna, you know, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this because I don't want to give him a lot of time. But anybody that knows me personally knows that the events of January 6th changed me. I'm not even the same person that I was on January 5th, 2021. You know, largely because of him standing there in front of all those people and say, I wanted to go down to the Capitol. I'm going to be there with you. I'm going to be there with you. You know, he told those people to protest.
We're gonna walk down to
the Capitol.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be there with you.
Crazy.
You know, and that was a protest. He wanted those people to protest him not winning the election, having it, you know, being stolen from him. We know that's we know what it was when it comes to all of that. But now that he's about to be arrested per him, which I have my doubts on whether that's even going to happen because nobody who's in authority is co-signing it. I think this was, and I'll go first, obviously. I just want to do one spin around this. I don't want no back and forth debate on this one because we got way too much to do. So say what we're going to say, and then let's get out of this one. But what I'm going to say is he wants people to protest on his behalf. And I remember him and people who rock with him always talking about how protests were not cool when it was us out there protesting things like George Floyd having a knee on his neck for 9 minutes. So the last protest that we saw that he endorsed, they tore up the Capitol of the United States of America. 5 people died that day. They dead. They gone. They're not coming back. Like, we know what died means. And this is what he will suggest. So, hey, you know, you get what you get when it comes to this dude. But I think it's a very dangerous thing when he uses these types of terms. And I'm going to tell you something. I said this a long time ago on the show. I said it before the current team that we have, and I've said it during this team. Donald Trump is far smarter than a lot of people want to give him credit for because he knows exactly what he's doing. And when you use terms like he's smart, it drives people crazy because we do realize that there's some intellectual challenges and high levels of narcissism, but you got to know what you're doing to be able to rile up people the way he riles up people. And he know exactly what he's saying by creating this kind of division. You ain't a dummy if you're doing that. So you can say what you guys want to say, but like I said, I only want to do one spin on this one. John, you up first. Steph, you're going to close us out on this topic.
Nothing smart about Donald Trump. He is manipulative and he is opportunistic, narcissistic, and conceited, not arrogant, right? Arrogance has some anchor in being good at something. He's conceited. He's just full of himself. He ain't good at shit. He plays on the stupidity of people. The problem is the education and intelligence curve in this country is way off, right? What people deem to be average intelligence is dumb as I don't know what, right? Most people in America is dumber than a bag of hammers. And that's because of the education system. That's because of the lies that are told, and that's because they need poor people to put an anchor down for the cruise ship that the rich people sail on. And Trump feeds that, but he's stupid, right? I cannot give him any sort of intelligence, and what he does is just opportunistic, and only other people who are poorly educated, who don't understand media and or politics, have any energy for him whatsoever as anything other than a showpiece. And he lost his luster as a showpiece well into the first season of his television show. People just don't want to have the real conversation, and they don't want to accept the fact to call him out on who he truly is is to call out America on who it truly is, because a great number of adults voted for that man. And that'll tell you about who he is. And there are people who didn't vote for him who would have voted for him if they weren't party loyal. So that'll let you know that the majority of the country is stupid like he is. And this is why we have the greatest wealth gap the world has ever seen. This is why I'm gonna get into it in Green Talk, that we're redesigning economics as the world is gonna know it. And this is why, you know, the homeless in California, I was just gonna say LA, but every California city, the homelessness is something on a level that people really can't fathom until you go there and see it yourself, live and in person. I've seen it. So as far as people protesting anything about this fool, I mean, look, he can get it done. He appeals to people. He appeals to their misunderstanding, to their poor education. He has a lot of black people that like him and support him, especially a lot of hood people. A lot of hood people love Donald Trump because he a shit talker, right? And nothing moves the hood like a good shit talker, and he's a shit talker, right? He does not masquerade his racism, and people appreciate that. And people are still stuck on that icon imagery of Donald Trump, the rich man. Back in the day, hip hop, people talk about Donald Trump and John Gotti and all that. They romanticized all of that. So he was always the idea of being rich, although every business he's ever had has failed. He didn't make a profit ever until he was president. He profited on the stupidity of the American voter. Every other business he had suffered poorly. He spent all the money he borrowed, and he shortchanged people and didn't pay them, right? He was underwater. At best, liquid in his life. The most he ever had was about $600 million until he became president. So that's my take.
You know, hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Let me get a couple of shout outs to a couple of people. I put your comments on the screen, but I want to say peace to my brother Aubrey, who's checking us out in Jersey City. He says he's more of a narcissistic attention whore. Barry says he's just looking for attention. This is almost 2024. The legendary Tim Casey says even if he has some sort of intelligence about something such as money, doesn't mean that he's people smart. When it comes to people, he's a complete idiot and a horrible human being. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Steph, take the last word on that topic. What say you?
First of all, he'll get people that will show up and protest. That will happen. He's demonstrated that before. I don't think my mic's working. Is it? Yeah, he's demonstrated that before, that people will show up for him. Now, I agree. I don't find him masterfully intelligent, but what I do know, and I know this from what I have done for a living for the past 23 years, it's hard to teach people how to be salespeople. I meet a million people all the time. Oh, yeah, I could sell something. No, you can't. No, you can't. It's difficult. It is difficult to get people to buy something. It's even more difficult to get people to buy something without doing any research into it. Doesn't matter how dumb they are. People don't like to buy things. This man will sell you any product, and what he's done is turn politics into his product. And so the mastery that he has at sales and marketing is enough. It's enough. And he's identified his niche audience. And while we can dismiss him, I don't disagree. The people who vote for him, I find that you can be educated and still idiotic. They're educated idiots. He's got doctors and lawyers. And I think if we dismiss the fact that everybody that's voting for Donald Trump wasn't sitting in some shack in West Virginia humping their cousin with 2 teeth, there are people voting for him who are living in high-end homes in Florida and everywhere else, and he is able to lure them in. And you have to pay attention to the fact that he is using that mastery on people who want to say the N-word out loud, and it has worked. It worked well enough in a political system with an electoral college that clearly could care less about the numbers, and that's all he needed. So we do need to be very careful not to dismiss that. The other side of this that I'll say with Trump, he absolutely knows his audience every time. And he doesn't ever have to tell the truth. So the minute that we start, we're all focused on the fact that he's a liar, that he's a manipulator, and that he's all these other things. None of that matters. If he gets arrested tomorrow, if he gets arrested Wednesday, if he gets arrested on the 3rd of February, people will show up. And we have to look at the fact that we're now in a country where not only will those people show up, the media and those individuals will gaslight us and tell us that what we saw is not real. And the results can be something that are ridiculously outrageous and impactful to every single one of us. So it's easy to call him stupid, except for the fact that he's getting results. And I will take an unskilled, emotionally intelligent, mental giant over someone that is able to reach into the depths of hell and figure out how to get people to show up, because that is what Hitler did. And so we cannot be dismissive about just how deep this man will be willing to go, just how far he will be willing to go, and how easy it is to get the same audience to return. And by the way, these are the same people who are looking at the numbers that do not lie and saying that we're in a terrible position right now as it relates to our current president. You don't have to like Joe Biden to acknowledge that there are a lot of numbers that have improved since he's come into office. But the cult of personality is what now is driving us. And we all should be concerned about that.
They don't have Steppin Marcus share live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. There are a few who disagree with me when I said that he's a smart guy. I don't mean that to say that he's so brilliant and I think that we should all follow him, obviously. But, there is a phrase called an evil genius, and that means something. And just because you are not a dummy and you use your powers for evil doesn't mean that you are one. So I remember having this conversation with my elders, and they thought I was crazy when I said it. And I also said on this show in 2016 that he would win. And people thought I was crazy then. So, you can't make it that far and be a dummy, no matter how much the rest of us don't like him. And have Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Shout out to my brother Sean Mears. We call him the coach. Legacy in that radio is alumni, my pad, of Twi After Dark. Peace to Kilolo and Bella.
I love the name Kilolo.
Kilolo and Bella, not their real names, along with the coach. Appreciate you. Ain't no Steppin Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. So this will be the first time that I said, can I say my phrase? Can I say my phrase?
You're allowed.
Ready? Let us move on. Love's gonna get you, man. And I have Steppin Marcus J. All right. So the next thing that we're gonna talk about tonight, Steph, I want you up on this one first. I will introduce it, but I really want you to flesh it out. And then John will follow you, and then I'll say what I want to say afterwards, and then we'll spend a few minutes on this one. Not a ton of time, but we'll spend some time on this one. And I really think that our viewers and listeners are going to appreciate this one, because it's a conversation and a topic that many of us have had. Maybe we have had them publicly, maybe not. But we all know what woke means. At least we know what woke means to us. I would come on here and talk about how the woke folks would drive me nuts because their asses need to take a nap. They'd be going too far with certain things. But the way that the grand old party has been using the phrase woke and how they speak of those on the left who they lament how they are moving in our country, and they talk about woke. And it's funny to those of us who are in the beginning of that terminology being in our vernacular, and it being the smart people, those of us who maybe get it where other folks don't get it, not to speak specifically on this doctrine, but, the talented 10th, the 5% nation, those doctrines and theories speak of how there's a small amount of the population that actually gets it and everybody else needs to be led, is how I guess I kind of tip my hand on what I think about it. But that is kind of my understanding of where the original terminology came from. So maybe I didn't tip my hand, but grand old party's kind of stolen that and kind of made it out to be what they think it to be. So Steph, let's jump in here and let's talk about this. When they use the phrase woke, it certainly means something different on a national scale than it meant to us and our communities, at least in my opinion. What say you?
So, when I first started hearing, like, if you watch everything that's going on, and I know you watch a lot in regard to politics and things like that, you watch every single person that is pandering and profiling for campaign, even if they haven't announced. For 2024, you've got Nikki Haley. You have the king of woke politics, Ron DeSantis. You have Pence. Pretty much anybody that's going to throw their name out there for 2024 campaign is using woke as a catch-all phrase. And really, it's about they can't say it. And I literally watched a black reporter ask a white woman, for the first time, nobody else has done this on air. She said, "What is woke?" And at some point, while we're on another topic, Marcus, I'll send it to you. It may make sense to play it. But she wrote a book that had an entire topic about woke, and could not explain to this black woman what woke meant. The reason she couldn't explain, when being asked by a black person what woke meant, is because woke is dog whistle language. It is meant to infer negativity as it relates to black folk and issues that relate to black folk. They've started to bring this up primarily around the impetus of the Black Lives Matters movement, and co-opted everything about it. Woke has now become the TikTok dance of GOP politics. Black people say it means one thing. Merriam-Webster identifies it as aware of and actively attentive to important societal facts and issues. It first showed up in the 1940s. A linguist coined it to mean exactly that: conscious of the needs of the black community and aware of what we should be doing to move forward. It was about progress and understanding the space in which we make that progress. So now you hear people saying, yeah, these woke policies, and what they're doing is speaking to their particular niche, their particular audience. Ron DeSantis is speaking to all the people who want to run to Florida because, quote unquote, it's free. And what is it free of? It's free of anything that is going to be consciously aware and attentive to important societal issues. And what are those societal issues? Anything that impacts Black, brown, and marginalized people. So they can't say, we're sick of people making room for the Negroes. They can't say in relationship to SVP v. Bank, when they said, oh, it's falling apart because of woke policies. Well, I'll have you know, SVB was known for financing a lot of small Black-owned businesses. So now all of a sudden it's failing because it's helping Black-owned businesses, not because of how it extended itself. One Black board member, their diversity, equity, and inclusion policies are what have led them down this path. And instead of allowing, and we do this all the time, we allow a certain audience to co-opt something. And I give the GOP huge credit for this. They've been good at this for so long. They've been good at changing words, changing the dynamic, changing the impact and the meaning. And we have just absorbed it and allowed it to be, instead of questioning and cornering and forcing them to say what you really mean. When you say woke, what do you really mean? You mean issues that impact Black, brown, and marginalized people, anything that's going to include them, anything that is going to dissect where we are as a society and how we leave people out. And I think I get a little angry with us folk, because we lay down for anything. That old statement of if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. We are falling like dominoes. We're hearing this language being co-opted, something that legitimately our forebearers, people in the 1940s, when they were literally still having to fight for the opportunity to be included, to be allowed to breathe and exist in certain spaces. And now we're just stepping back and letting them co-opt this language and turn it into something else. And it is winning for them. It is no different than Donald Trump coming down the golden stairway and saying they're sending their worst. They're sending the rapists. They're sending murderers. It's no different than Donald Trump looking at a Black woman who is a well-known reporter, a well-known White House correspondent, and asking her, when she asked him specific questions, have you talked to your friends in the Congressional Black Caucus? It is to exclude and alienate and villainize the idea of allowing Blackness to exist and for allowing us to move forward. And I cannot be mad at them when I look at us. We will fight so hard for the pettiest things. We will be so angry about the smallest things, where we can party, what we can drink, whether we can smoke wherever we want to go. But when they begin to have these conversations that literally change the dynamic of words we coined and we phrased, we fall back comfortably. I think about when you say, Marcus, and it might be you and John that have said this, that we don't want to fight white folk because we're afraid of them.
I say it all the time, and I used to catch a lot of smoke.
Well, it's true. We are
from us, and I would say it so plainly here. Black folks scared of white folks.
They're scared of the outcomes.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't mean that you walk past them in the store and you cower. That's not what it means. But you understand what the history of this country is and what can happen to you if you go against certain systems in our country. We saw what happened to our leaders in previous generations and how they were treated.
We don't want that. We don't want no smoke.
We have history that shows us that those Black people who put themselves in a position to be leaders and try to lead towards the advancement of Black people, what happens to them. So there are those who just won't say what they want to say, won't do what they want to do because they are afraid of white people.
Yeah.
And you ain't got to admit it or co-sign it. Like, that's not what this is. Like, I'm saying it so you ain't gotta. You know what I mean? Like, that's what this is. So, like, it's no smoke. So let me get some love and a salutation. And John, I want you to jump in here.
And I want to drop this video in because I think it'll be interesting to play for the audience if you have time.
You got it. Ain't no #7 Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. Very, very happy and excited to say peace to this next listener. Mr. A is checking us out. Mr. A is my elementary school teacher. And every time I see him, I'll just like, yo, Mr. A. And he rocks with me. He I graduated from his class 35 years ago. He probably would fuss at me for calling out how long it is, but I get to call me out. So I'm sorry, you was my teacher, man. I'm tickled that you even rock with me. So thank you, Mr. A. And I hope very much that you are happy, smiling, prosperous, and enjoying retirement because you deserve it. You were the greatest teacher I ever had in my matriculation, and I appreciate you. And because of you, I know what the word defunct means. There's an inside joke that I will share with the crew at another time. But
I can only imagine a teacher
but do you
that.
know what happens when defunct hits the fan?
You know what?
He meant it in a slightly.
That was a dad joke, and I love it.
It really was. He meant it in a slightly different context. But yeah, I'm gonna get you. So thank you, Mr. A. I appreciate you. Love you, brother. Thank you. Let me get a couple salutations, then you up, John. My brother Dr. David is checking us out. He said that's definitely by design, us being scared of the of the pale people, he says. And one of my favorites, man, he's my big brother. He is Virginia Union University royalty. My brother, the legendary Ray Neblett, is checking us out right now. ICB. ICB, yes, sir. Inner City basketball, brother. I can't wait to have you back and have you talk about it. Ain't no #7 Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. John, talk to us about the GOP misappropriating or reappropriating, depending on your opinion of it, the term woke. And what does woke mean to you? Uncle H says, I went up against white folks on my job trying to teach Black history and paid the price of the ticket. I don't think there's any Black person that's in here listening, watching, that hadn't had some sort of political, professional, racial run-in with white folks and it affects you. And some folks are more defiant than others. Some folks absorb it differently. Some folks' lifestyle is affected, and so it causes it changes how they will manage. But I think that is a real statement, John. You can address it if you choose to or not, but the table has been set. You go where you choose to.
Okay, so let's go with the phrase: "If you're woke, then you dig it." Journalists coined that phrase, and it had, at a time when that was really part of the fabric of what the nation was, United States, and what it was going through. It's misappropriation. The misappropriation of the terminology is, I blame it on the left, right? Because lately, the left and the right, but the left more, have been real bad at messaging, and their phrases and words. Woke is a stupid term. It's almost as bad as defund the police, and Black Lives Matter is a close second to that as well. Woke. You don't state things. Okay, if you have to say Black Lives Matter, that means they don't matter. So somebody should have thought about that. Defunding the police isn't what anybody wanted to do. So they shouldn't have made it their mantra. What they wanted to do was reallocate budgets and have more things into communities and less into militarization of the police. Defunding, yeah, that was a great idea. Woke invites, please go back to sleep. And that's how I feel about everybody who considers themselves woke, because y'all have no idea what you're talking about. And again, I blame the left for it, with their way over the top science fiction expectation of social dynamic that they plan to put over on the country. And when they expect for the black, air quote, black community to support them wholeheartedly with this, and don't realize that the black community, for the most part in America, is highly conservative, right? And we kind of don't trust y'all, because the left, for the most part, is the reason why the country has been dumbed down so much, because they control, in most of the country, the public food system, right? And they set a dynamic that emphasizes inclusion and promotes mediocrity and stupidity, right? Because nobody wants to face up the fact that David is dumb. Nobody wants to deal with the fact that Julie can't read. It's just, if you can't, you can't, right? I don't need to promote you. I don't need to give you a trophy, and I don't need to push you along just to make you feel better or have your parents think that they're doing a good job when they're not, right? So that's a whole nother thing, and I blend that into this whole woke, right? As far as it being corrupted by the right, I don't think they corrupted it as much as they used it better than the left.
I disagree.
And that's the left's fault again. If y'all gonna march on something, hold on to it and be ready for the fight. And again, this is why black people lose, and this is why a lot of times the left lose unnecessarily, because somebody has the stupid idea that it's a fair fight, right? And when the right fights dirty, the left goes, oh, well, we're not going to fight dirty because we're the left. No, you're stupid. If you go to a fist fight and somebody pulls a gun and you keep fighting and get shot, you stupid. You're not honorable. You're not fair. You're not any of those things. You're not to be admired. You're stupid because you didn't get your gun, or you didn't run away from the man with the gun. Right? So we got to stop. Again, when they go low, we go high. No, when they go low, you kick them while they down. It's easier that way. Right? So we got to stop all of this nonsense. And of course, black people are afraid of white people because they were taught to fear their God. right? And like
Yeah.
I always tell you, until black people decide to get a white man back his God, nothing good will ever happen to them anywhere on the planet.
Steph, ain't no hashtag Marcus. You're live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Make your next point and then introduce what we're about to do.
Well, we got a mixture of GOP John, Hotep John,
But
Fapazetta
you know,
John. I don't know.
but you know what's funny? You know what's funny?
No,
Is-
there was
but
no
you know,
mixture.
you know the
There was no
cool part.
mixture.
The cool part
was.
about it is it's consistent.
It is
If it
consistent.
ain't
GOP
nothing,
John is back.
Is
I said it last week.
If it's consistent,
You know, I love that it is consistent.
One thing that I will say before I give it to you, Steph, is I do tend to agree with him on the part about how black people are generally conservative.
I don't disagree.
The problem is many of the Republicans and the people that they put in front of us to support and vote are so fucking racist that we
Yeah,
can't rock with them.
We can't do that. But
You can't rock with them.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why, because we seen where the switch was. It was a little over 50 years ago, but we seen where the switch was. The switch was because of the Civil Rights Bill, and the switch was because of the Voter Rights Bill that was put forward that was led by the Republicans, but signed by the Democrats. And we're dealing with a Dixiecrat and President Lyndon B. Johnson who didn't want to.
He didn't want to do it.
He didn't want to do it, but it was such overwhelming support led by the GOP that he had no choice. And that's where the switch was finalized. So that piece, while, it may be difficult for many of us to hear, I absolutely agree. John, make this point real quick and then we're going to shift.
The thing about it is, the dynamic is no one strategizes for black people. And black people have some arrogance to believe that they do. The system is set up and designed and it's working and it's been working for a few hundred years. Nobody's planning for you or looking at, they're not even thinking about you. You're an afterthought. The only people that plan for you are retail plans for black people, because they exploit you because you're trying to buy civility. You're trying to buy purpose and place in a world that's not designed for you. So Democrats, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. They're going to keep suffering their losses, and Republicans just don't give a damn.
Hashtag Marcus here live from NewDen Legacy and radio.
I agree that there's a messaging issue. Again, I go back to the fact that anything that you want to sell, you gotta create a message around it. And the Democrats are terrible at it. I don't disagree with who dumbed down the education system. I don't even disagree with the fact that you don't like the terminology. When things have a definition, that's the definition. Period. Now, how you want to misconstrue it or how it's misrepresented, that's a different conversation. But what I'm saying is, because when I heard you say, I don't agree with the woke thing, blah 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 blah. People are sleeping. There are people who are properly woke. They are conscious. Hold on. Mm-hmm. If you were to look at the definition as it is, and I don't want to dismiss it, there are people that are proactively involved in creating an awareness and are actively attentive to important societal facts and issues. That is what woke means. Now, you may not like the people who are like, they've gone over the edge or over the cliff. I don't disagree with you, but it doesn't mean that the definition and awareness around it,
that wasn't my point.
The Ibrahim Kendis and those of the world aren't there. Do I disagree with things like defund the police? Absolutely. Do I think that's a woke concept? No, I do not. I think that is a construct that is being driven from an inability to be able to explain what your expectations are, what your needs are, and you don't have representation. So therefore, you go over the cliff. But I don't like the idea of the definition is literally this. And simply because you see people mispracticing or doing things a certain way, now we got to throw away the entire term or conversation. But I do want to introduce this.
Give me 5 seconds.
John, 5 seconds.
No, listen. I don't disagree with anything you said, but I wasn't challenging the definition. I was speaking to Marcus saying how it was corrupted.
I don't disagree.
And then its corruption is what I was speaking to. Is it possible for someone to be woke based on a definition? 100%. But the way it was being used and constructed on the left, and the way that the right took it and used it to their advantage, I don't hold them as accountable as I do the left
A
for
0%.
allowing it to be done.
I don't disagree.
So that's
with
where
that.
we
I
at.
don't disagree with that part.
I can dig that.
So this clip is a woman named Bethany Mandel. She calls herself a progressive, and she really is highly conservative. And she is confronted by a morning show host, a Black woman, who finally decides to ask the question that everyone should ask. She has written a book about woke and what it is. And the question that is posed to her is, what is woke? And this is her response.
And so, you know, when we
what
talk
does that
about
mean to
traditional
you? Would you mind defining woke? Because it's come up a couple times, and I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
So, I mean, woke is sort of the idea that this is going to be one of those moments that goes viral. I mean, woke is something that's very hard to define, and we've spent an entire chapter defining it. It is sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Sorry, it's hard to explain in a 15-second soundbite.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus
take
J
your
live from NewDen Legacy Net Radio. All right, so many of us will run into a similar dynamic when we are presented with the situation, and we have a conversation with someone who has no idea what they're talking about on the topic. So,
but if you write a book about it,
talk to me about why we played that clip.
We played that clip because this is exactly the problem. This is that dog whistle language. She was being confronted by someone who looks like the people they are referencing when they're using dog whistle language, woke, 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 whenever they're saying woke. And so when she was confronted by the Black reporter, and it's the first time, and she said, what does woke mean? She could not open her mouth and say, it means that we're beginning to prioritize Black, brown, and marginalized people and the needs that they have. So when she started getting into, it is the hierarchy of oppression, it's looking at society and thinking that we need to reprioritize things, she stopped herself because she's getting ready to admit that it is identifying the needs of the greater society, regardless of how it looks, and addressing the needs of people who are marginalized. She knew she could not say that. And that's why it's important to call people on it. This woman wrote a book about the term woke and woke politics, but is uncomfortable at defining it. And the other reason she's uncomfortable, they've never had to. They co-opted the language. They built marketing and political campaigns around it, and they ran with it. And we allowed it. We allowed it very much the way that we allowed Trump to say whatever he said. We played his sound bites. Reporters brought him on. They didn't confront him. This is how the lie becomes the truth.
So here's the deal. And this is I've seen that clip. It is viral. She was right. It went viral. What we witnessed in that clip, for people who can't understand it, let me help y'all out. That is systemic racism. That is white supremacy. That woman truly feels in her body, in her soul and spirit, she believes in her truth of who she is as an individual, that she is capable, even more capable than most, at writing a book on subject matter that she knows nothing about. That's racism. That's white supremacy. Now, as far as corrupting the terminology, only in the fact that when people try to put an act, okay, like the word love, right? Noun and verb at the same time, right? You can define it, but it requires action, right? So they're trying to put woke into that same thing. As your definition, you could be absolutely woke. That don't mean that you have any need or obligation to do anything about it. Mm-hmm. If you just know what is going on politically and within society, if you're aware of what happens in the dynamic of a nation that you belong to, you're woke, right? But now the left said we're going to put action to it. We're going to make it a verb. So now being woke requires you to do something. Well, what if I don't want to do nothing? And now the right got to corrupt it because they saying, oh, y'all politically manipulating folks based on their information or lack thereof. So what you're saying is people on the left are smarter than people on the right. So what you're doing is you're going into the lower class people on the right who vote for these people. And when I say low class, I don't mean without manners. I mean without money, which most of the white Americans are right now. And y'all vote for these people. And this is how they mobilize you all. The left is saying that the blacks are smarter than y'all because they're woke, and y'all not woke. And not being woke, that the black people are doing actions, and the Mexicans are taking your job, and the black men want to rape your women. Get out there, put your hoods on, and go attack the Capitol. Right? This is all what's transpiring, and this is why when I say that racism has a similar adverse effect on white people, for the most part, as much as it does black people, this is what y'all are not understanding. The whole point of racism is not to hurt black people. It's to keep rich people rich. Right? Nobody really gives a damn about the color of your skin. They just want their money or their illusion of money to remain valuable. And the only way they do that is by keeping you poor or poor-minded or whatever the situation is. We only got one planet. We only got one pie. The only way one slice is bigger is for the other to be smaller. Right? So 1% of the world controls 94% of the resources, and the rest of us fight for everything else. Right? Now, considering that this racist ideology is what keeps it this way. Right? This woman thinking she could write a book about being woke and can't do it. Did it and had people buy into it based on falsehoods, based on racism and white supremacy. Everybody has to get out of that mindset. We got to drop race because it's not a thing, right? It's nonsense. There's more genetic diversity on the continent of Africa between people who've never left, who are all melanated. It's more genetic diversity there than it is with any other melanated and non-melanated person anywhere around the world. So most black people and white people have more in common than two random black people from Africa, right? So race is unreal. Stop it. Let it go, right? Systemic racism as a way of keeping you poor and misinformed and supporting the rich, that's real. White supremacy, the idea that poor white people think, long as I'm free, white, and 21, I will always be better than a black person no matter what happens in the world, will keep them poor as well. So these things are disrupting the lives of people, human beings, which we all are, right? And we got to let it go somehow.
Ain't no how Steppin Marcus here live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. As we said right before we started this, we will say it again. Let us move on. We're going to move on to the Green Talk. So we got two pieces in Green Talk that we're going to get to. I'll have you introduce them, and then we will talk about what we got going on. So, John, you finished with the con. I'm going to hand it right back to you, bro. What you got?
Well, this episode here on Green Talk, we're going to talk about a verses. Everybody's on Instagram verses. So we're gonna do some verses. The first verses we're gonna do is gonna be in economics. The second one is gonna be in climate and weather. What's going on? I touched a little bit on it last week about what's going on with the banks in Silicon Valley and Signature and other banks and all this stuff. And I said it doesn't affect the community. It doesn't. But I realized that a lot of people are curious. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to discuss this in a way that everybody kind of gets it. Right. And that you can understand, although it will not affect you like you think it would or should, you should have an understanding of what's going on. Right. First thing you got to understand is money's not real. Right. And it hasn't been real for quite some time. What you think is money is just numbers on a ledger or on a computer screen. They're just digits. They mean nothing. You give money whatever value you think it deserves. Also, on the fiat system that America is based on. America is the world's economy. That's another thing. I'll get into that in a second. The American dollar is the world's economy. Everything is measured against the dollar. So when we think about the fiat system, the idea we're dealing in debt. We're not dealing in money. The dollars that you carry in your pocket, if you still carry cash, are receipts for debt. They're not value. They're no longer transferable. It used to say we could transfer this note for the value of silver. The term dollar is a weight and measurement, like a pound or an ounce, right? It's a measurement, right? So $1's worth of silver is what you could get for $1, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, right? Can't do that anymore. So now in the fiat system, we're dealing with these checks and balances. Here goes the thing. The United States has all of this debt, but we owe ourselves. And we owe ourselves with our own money. So the whole idea of our economy falling apart and all of this, that's nonsense. Because all we got to do is say we're not going to pay. We owe Mexico. Mexico owes us. We owe China. China owes us. Oh, China owns all of this infrastructure. Not if we tell them they don't, right? The Cherokee Nation was given the rights to North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia, all of it. You know what Grant said? Hold it. They went to court, won the rights, and Grant, the president, said, all right, you got it, hold it. I'm going to send the army over there and move you out. Like what Chappelle Show said, yeah, well, we're going to give you sanctions. Oh, you got sanctions. You got an army? No, you ain't got nothing. So you ain't going to sanction nothing. Right? So don't worry about America's debt and whatever else, because if we don't want to pay ourselves, that's like you saying you borrowed money out of your left pocket and now your right pocket wants it back. That's about the equivalent of American debt. And anything anybody else in the world that we owe other countries, we can owe them all they want. Let them come take it if they want it. That's not going to happen. And what we're dealing with is a transfer of wealth. What's going to be the greatest transfer of wealth that the world has ever known in our known history. And when we move into recognizing blockchain technology, don't confuse blockchain technology with cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is a fulcrum that uses blockchain technology. But blockchain technology is what's moving on. We're moving into a cashless society, right? Therefore, the idea of using dollars are going to fall away. And it's all going to be about a barter system where you have units, not dollars. You have units based on your particular value or what you can trade or what you can bring to the table. So understanding why these banks failed because they were giving out, right, money. They were accepting money. They were taking the money, investing the money like banks do, drawing interest, right, or supposedly drawing interest, paying out dividends to shareholders and bank owners, but their investments were losing. And part of why their investments were losing were they didn't care because they knew they would be backed up by the FDIC. The problem is the FDIC is short. The FDIC insures over $36 trillion or something like that, or whatever the world, $3.6 trillion. And they only got about 400 billion hold. So if everybody asked the FDIC to pay off up to 250,000 in accounts, they would be short, right? So now what the banks are going to do, the way we get out of this, is normally world banks trade money once a week, right? And people who are involved in Forex understand that, understand news trading and the value of money and how it transfers. They're eliminating that. We're not going to transfer money every single day. So we're going to allow other countries to be able to weigh their money against American dollars every single day and be able to pay out American dollars, because that's the only thing to value. Every other country's currency is weighed against the American dollar. Reason that is because we got more weapons than y'all. So when they do that, it will balance the books for now, but it's never going to be balanced because they're kicking the can down. When they say they kick the can down the road, politically, they're kicking the can down the road financially based on the fact that the more people are going to be born, the more you will be workers or slaves, the more of you will contribute an uneven amount of labor or effort into an economy and not be rewarded equitably, which will build the money back up again, right? But the problem is less white people are being born, right? Less white people are being born. This is the problem with they have with abortion, right? People are creating families as opposed to just going out and making babies, right? So you got less people. China's having that problem because they didn't want female children. Okay, so all of these dynamics are going on in the world picture. Having an understanding of the money and the way it works. Start Googling some things and start using the chat GT4, whatever it is. Use that. Try to use that if you can. But have an understanding of finance. And again, what it comes down to is money's not real. It's just numbers, right? Because if I were to go into your bank's computer right now and change a couple numbers, add a couple zeros or take a couple zeros away or move a comma or a decimal point, change your whole life. And guess what? Nothing real has to be there. Nothing real has to be there. If Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk had to liquefy, right? Neither of them could have $1 billion. If they had to take what they physically have, including cash, what they physically have and produce money for it, they wouldn't even have $1 billion, maybe 100 million. So value is based on what you place on something. Now, we get to this weather. California is about to have another, what do they call it, river something or whatever. Listen. They talk about, the core of the planet is spinning the other way. It's the end of days and the back. Please, flat earthers, just go somewhere and commit suicide or something. Just stop.
John.
No, I'm serious, because like y'all are a waste of humanity. Because if you're too dumb, right? If you're too willing,
just call on natural selection, bro. You ain't got to say
all right.
that.
So okay, all right.
Darwinism.
Listen. Look. Here's what I'm saying. If you're not, if your brain is so focused on having an idea that is anti something, that you're willing to not completely research and understand things that you can deal with that are not opinion, right? Facts are not truths. Truths are personal things. Facts are things that can be proven right or wrong, correct or incorrect, right? You flat earthers come out with all of this stuff about how you feel and what you believe and what you think you can see with your own eyes. You are so small in relationship to the planet you live on that your eyes are lying to you all the time, right? Know that. Secondly, most of you have never been in an airplane or traveled 5,000 miles further from your home, or 500 miles for most people. Most people are born and die within 500 miles of where they live, and most people do not travel, right? Very few people travel in a lifetime, right? So when you've gotten on an airplane and flown at 500 miles an hour, 3,000 miles, and you understand how big the planet is in relationship to itself, and you understand that physically something of the size of the planet we live on is impossible in physics to be anything but spherical based on its mass, because the mass will contract on itself. This is why that's why the moon is a sphere, right? It's the mass. This is why most comets are shaped like potatoes, because they just don't have enough mass to get to that circular, because then they might become planets, right? Understand that we're dealing with physics, things that can be mathematically proven, like 1 + 1 is 2, or like Marcus says,
2 + 2 is 5.
Flat earthers,
I
it's not.
I ain't
It's
arguing
4.
with those people. Yes.
Right.
No,
So
not at
now,
all.
so
I ain't
now,
arguing with them people.
here's what we did. Going back to the
Thanks for the
climate,
shout out.
and I'm gonna end this. Going back to the climate, what we are dealing with is the way this planet has behaved for billions of years, right? Billions of Earth. Scientists are now redefining the age of the planet, the age of the solar system, the age of the sun, based on new information. Things are changing. And even when they never gave it as fact, they gave it as theory, right? So now theories are being changed because people are having more information, right? So understand that because of plastic in the ocean the size of Texas, right? Generating seaweed at the size of America in the other ocean, you're going to get weather patterns that change because the oceans generate the wind that generate the patterns that move pollen that does all of this kind of stuff within this enclosed atmosphere that you people, the flat earthers, go, oh, the firmament. No, it's an atmosphere created by magnetic electric energy because of the hot metal center of the planet spinning, causing gravity, giving us a protective covering, right? And yes, weather's gonna get bad. Mess around sometime in my grandson's lifetime, we might even experience some other kind of ice age. Hopefully, it won't be as catastrophic as the one we experienced at around 10,000 BC, right? That turned the Sahara Desert from a rainforest into a desert.
You really think we got an ice age coming in the next 50 years?
It's
though, for
possible.
real?
It's possible.
I mean,
within,
I was with you,
and I'm
but
gonna tell you,
then
but I'm gonna tell
start-
you
then
why.
Now you bugging.
But here goes the fact. The fact is that glaciers are melting faster than anticipated, and we got one shelf that's holding on. And if that shelf fall, it can fall at any moment.
So how we
right?
going? How
If
we
the
going
shelf
from,
falls on, we raise the ocean by 3 inches over 50 years. If the ocean raises in 3 inches over 50 years, it affects the whole planet climate, and we can experience an ice age.
Yeah, I don't.
The facts are there. Whether or not
yeah.
it's going to happen in a certain amount of time isn't the issue. The issue is when it's going to happen.
History shows you the future, because what has happened is going to be a predictor of what can happen. And there's nothing that has happened in the last 50 years that would make me think that we have an ice age in the next
You're
50
thinking
years.
too small. It's based on every certain amount of thousands of years, like 12,500.
I hear you.
We have one. So the last one was about 12,500.
I
So
hear
we're
you.
due.
But I'm actually not thinking small when I'm thinking about how long it would take for something like that to develop.
We're in the
Like,
zone.
It wouldn't be 50 years. It'd be more like hundreds of
No,
years.
we
ain't that close.
No. The
temperature's changing.
No.
Ain't changing that slowly.
An ice age can happen, right, in months, not years, based on, again, if this ice shelf falls into the ocean and raises the world ocean by 3 inches, it could trigger an ice age that will occur so fast that we will not be able to adapt to it.
I can
That's
dig it.
scientific fact.
I can dig it. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. Shout out to our brother Aaron Turner, Legacy Internet Radio alumni. We appreciate you, brother. Thank you. You know, I appreciate you, John, because you bring it. You know, you give us something to think about. That's for sure. You know, whether we agree or not. I mean, you give us facts that we can go and research, and we can find out where we stand with regards to our interpretation of said facts. So for that,
thank you. I want everybody to research to prove me wrong. I love that.
For that, I thank you. For that, we thank you. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. All right, so we're gonna shift. You know, I feel like I'd be rushing us through certain things, but the agenda be so big that I want to make sure that we get it all in. So we're gonna go from Green Talk to Stephisodes. And when we get to Stephisodes, I won't tip her hand. I'll let her tip it herself. But what we will talk about here, I guess I tipped it when I put it on the screen, or it's already on the screen. It's been scrolling, y'all. Well, damn. So you got the concept. What we talking about, man?
So today we're going to talk briefly about whataboutisms.
Whataboutisms.
Yeah. It is killing the community. So from You good? What happened? I
Nah,
didn't
this
say
is
anything
this
yet.
is part. This is part of why I love you.
Oh, because of whataboutism?
Yeah.
Because you know I hate stuff like this.
Nah, because you're bringing it.
So first of all, I'm just gonna step out there and say, because some people will be like, "What are you talking about?" Other people know exactly what I'm talking about, like John.
Pause for just a second.
All
We're getting
right.
that shout out from our sister, friend, and legal eagle,
Hey,
Tamika Robinson. She said, "Hey y'all, now I have to look more into blockchain and schedule an appointment with John."
Yes,
There you
yes,
go.
yes.
she
Please
does.
do.
So
Everybody,
Get your money
schedule
right.
your
Get your money right.
appointments.
So pick up right there, Steph. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So whataboutisms is really a psychological motivation. It is an easy way for people to step away from accountability and step into a moment of being able to sit. They're finding comfort mostly in looking at others and saying, well, you're just as bad or you're worse. The reason I'm bringing this up is, if you all will remember some years ago when Trump was on air with conservative media, and they said, you know, Putin is a killer. He has done certain things, so on and so forth. And he said, well, what about us? We're not that great. Look at us as a country. We're terrible, so on and so forth. That's a form of whataboutism. Now, on a political level, you see that quite a bit. But and it's not really that detrimental. When you hear of whataboutism at the political level, it's typically within debate. Who cares? At the end of the day, you're going to vote for the person you were going to vote for, regardless of what they said. Where it becomes problematic, and what I saw today, is how we're moving in the culture. And I'm specifically saying in the culture because white people don't need my help. They ain't asked for it. They don't need it. And it's not killing them. It's not killing their community. So I had someone send me a message after I mentioned my experience of being harassed by a man on the street and having to hide in order to avoid him potentially physically harming me. And this person said, well, during this conversation, you mentioned black people and black men, and he was in his fifis, Draws was in a bunch, and he said, what about white men? Because that was the natural space for him to go to. The psychological motivation there was, I need to find comfort in the behaviors I know are wrong by looking around and saying certain people are worse. Now,
Never dated a white man, have you?
yes, I have.
Oh, okay, no.
Yes, I have.
Yeah,
I play in the snow.
Okay, so
I like to be treated well. So yes, and I will divest if necessary so I can have the life I want. So
power to the people.
And they love this natural hair. They've been complimenting left and right. So I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is, if I'm going to live in this community, my proximity is primarily going to be to other black people, to other people of color. And I've lived in Chesterfield. I lived there for the first 9-8 years that I have lived here. And my proximity was still primarily black people. And I lived it. I mean, it was a diverse community, but your day-to-day proximity is typically with people who look like you. Where I didn't experience that would be corporate America, for obvious reasons, right? When this brother sent me this message in my DMs asking me, what about white people? I immediately started to think about all the spaces where we turn to whataboutism because we don't want to deal with what we're dealing with. We know we can't resolve it, or we don't want to resolve it. Even to John's point about woke, we don't want to pick up the gauntlet and start to address the issues. And what I said to that brother was, saying what about white people is not going to fix the situation that I experienced. And when something is happening in 6F communities, they are not saying, well, what about black people? They're not even thinking about you. And that's why their communities can progress, because they deal with the issues at hand. And I hate to be this person, but we have to get to a point of where we start addressing truth where truth sits.
Steph, be that person.
Thank you. We have to start addressing truth where truth sits. So here is the truth. There are 8 Black women killed a day post-pandemic. Prior to pandemic, 5 Black women. 8 Black women killed a day post-pandemic, and none of them are killed by white men. So when I tell you a story, and I'm talking about in situations of femicide, so that means by their partners or by someone that they are engaged with. So when someone tells you a story and says, well, what about the other people? Immediately, I know is what you're doing is what they did back in Ireland when the IRA was blowing everything up. And they said, well, what about the UK? You're not willing to deal with the issue at hand. You do not have the skill set to deal with it at hand, and you're better off acknowledging that. It is about accountability. We struggle significantly with accountability, and whataboutism is how we have progressed. Instead of Steve Harvey writing a book to brothers about how to be a man and deal with life in a certain way, what did he do? He wrote a book for the people he knew would buy it. Black women. Because as much as people want to say, well, what about Black women? We're accountable overwhelmingly. The statistics prove it. Accountable for education.
Too much so.
Accountable for financials. Accountable for the children. Accountable for the household. Accountable for the community. Now, I sit here with 2 brothers that I know do not fit into those statistics. However, a recent study was done, and it said if you remove every working Black woman, every working age, conveniently employed Black woman in the Black community, you would lose 84% of the value of the Black community. Now, if I say that and you say, what about the Black women on welfare? You are ignoring that the percentage of people, the penis people, that the percentage of penis people contributing to our community is only in the teens, the percentage of the teens. And that we need to then deal with where those 80 some odd percent of people are and how we can move you forward. Whataboutism may make you feel good in the moment because it gives you the dialogue and the conversation and the argument, but it does not change what is happening in our communities. And it can go further. It is absolutely, and I use that example because that is how this man came to me. What about? Our community is not thriving. It is surviving. It is not thriving. Thriving would be living above the poverty level. In most places, we have not done that. We have not done that in the history of the US. Thriving would mean households and families being complete. We have not done that. And so, what I will say to you is if you want to demonstrate a true concern for the community from which you come, from where you live, from who you are going to be benefited or impacted by, the last thing you want to do when an argument, when a statement comes up, is say, what about? That is a way to distract from the topic at hand, and it has left us in a position of where our resolution is slow going. And we are therefore receding and not progressing. So get rid of the whataboutism in our community and let's deal with the issues at hand.
Ain't no hashtag Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. We got a couple of comments in. Shaq, we see you. We're gonna come back to you in a minute. First of all, appreciate you, brother. I saw the pictures pop up recently of when we had you in the original den. You came in, and I was so blessed and pleased to have you. He says the whataboutism is the ultimate deflection phrase, which is essentially co-signing what you said. I said I was going to temper it, but I went ahead and read that there because it was appropriate to the moment. But there's another comment here that came in, and I want you to address this stuff. T. Buke Walker is saying, you say you play in the snow because you like to be treated well. Are you stoking the narrative that Black men can treat you well?
No, I don't have to stoke a narrative. I don't have to stoke anything. I don't. And what about, right? So here we go. No, I have been married happily to a very nice black man. I was married for 18 years to that black man. And he will tell you that he was loved just voraciously by this black woman. But I also do believe, and many black men will come out with, well, you women aren't married. Why aren't we? Many black men will come out with all these single baby mamas. Guess what? One black man can create many single women. And so I am a believer that black women deserve a great experience wherever that experience comes from. Now, when you look at the statistics, someone like me who has a master's in organizational psychology, shout out to me and my education that I paid for, right? I am not likely to meet a man that is at that level statistically. And so what has happened, and these two brothers are in the room, and the people who are listening have known that I have dated down to satisfy the need to be with someone who looks like me. And it has benefited me not at all. So the people who birthed me, the Bryants, they want better for me. And if that better for me does not statistically align with my education level, listen, I can't teach a man. I can't train a man. Y'all say it all the time, but I've given enough time to a community that doesn't appreciate the education that I come with, the upbringing that I come with. And so, yes, I will happily divest. Doesn't mean that I haven't dated some nice black men. What I'm saying is there's typically a 10-to-1 ratio in the spaces that I walk in. And if I have to keep going on the other side of that ratio, dating down and impacting my life at these 46 years, I no longer will do that. And how you feel about it ain't my business.
Ain't
What
no
about that?
Steppin with Marcus J. Live
Do
from
you, boo?
NewDen.
Do you,
Yeah,
boo?
Listen, if you have a lovely, wonderful black man that wants to have intellectual conversations
yeah.
over dinner, wants to sit with me in my home and his home and watch MSNBC, pays his bills, doesn't need me to do any of that, listens when I speak, isn't seeking to always argue everything that I say because his fifis are hurt, send him away.
Yeah, I
Well,
mean,
Marcus
like I
and
said,
I
here's-
are unavailable. I'm
here-
sorry.
yeah,
sorry, yeah.
here's what I was saying
Marcus's
about that.
wife wouldn't appreciate it, and you ain't available because your chicas won't appreciate
Yeah,
it.
No,
you
no,
know,
I'm
here's what I
not.
would
I'm,
say.
I'm not available because I'm honestly not emotionally available at the time.
That
you
you are always honest about
I
that.
got shit I got to deal with
Now, see, if more men would do
before I
that,
can even think about getting in a
there's
relationship.
the growth. There's the potential for
Yeah,
growth
there-
right
there-
there.
it's
Is-
too much selfishness I need right now in order to be into a relationship because I spent the majority of my life concerned more about the people in my life than I was about myself. And now at this point in my life, I need to transfer that energy to me in order to stay alive, in order to enjoy the life that I'm living. And I can't, and if I can't give it the way I believe it needs to be given, then I ain't gonna try.
And more
So-
people need to acknowledge that.
So you know, I really feel crazy even putting you in this position. But T. Butte Walker heard you and has a, and I'm not sure if I should respond to the response or I should let you respond. to the
Bro, you
response.
should have left
My
that.
natural. I don't know if it's bruh or not bruh. I can't tell by the picture.
I could
and
tell by the
just have
comment.
I just have a name, you know, and I say that respectfully because all I have is the comment. I don't have anything other. And when you just have the initial, I don't know. So if it's a brother, it's a sister, I can't tell. And I suppose it doesn't matter. For me, I promise
What's the
you.
name?
I promise you. For me, it doesn't.
What's the name?
It never matters to you.
It's just
no.
it's a first initial and then Buke and Walker. And so
That's my boy.
that's your boy. All right. So we know it's a brother.
Tommy, what's up?
So it's a brother. Shout out to Tommy.
Tommy like power
You
Tommy.
know,
No, let me
but
Nah, better.
really make him mad.
so yeah, and he was responding. He's referring to you and he's saying it's Buke. Almost to say it's me, bro.
It's
me.
Boog. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Boogie.
So
Incredible man. I'll tell you about him in a second. Good.
I'm sure he's a wonderful person. Not digging the comment though. So, and that's just me. That's just me. She said what she said. I'm gonna say what I'm gonna say here in a minute after I get these comments in. Shaq says, "Date who you want. You're dating for you, not everyone else." I could dig that. And Aubrey says, "Date it down, speechless." Here's what I would say about that.
True, I
Like
have dated down.
now, I know Steph, and I'm friends with her. She's my sister. I love her. So my comment is couched in that, but I ain't hear nothing that she said that would make it seem like the appropriate response is because you play in the snow that you casting aspersions on brothers. Now, there are people who will say what they're going to say, and their language is couched in that. I'm dissing the brothers. I openly want to be with somebody else.
No.
That ain't what she said. And even before she explained, that ain't what she said. I ain't got to defend her. I'm just responding to the comment. But then when you hear her explanation, the response is, so you saying white men are more intellectual than black men? That sounds like you trolling.
Yeah.
That absolutely sounds like you trolling.
Come
now,
from under the bridge.
Now,
You did.
Now, I said what I said. You can come for you. You come for me. You can come for me if you want to, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, I heard her just like everybody else heard her.
Listen to
and what I did not hear is any comment that would suggest the question that was just asked. So I'm gonna let her respond because I had to say what I had to say. I'm not defending her. She's more than capable of defending herself. I'm just the guy that hosts the show who read the comments like, really? That's what we're going.
I think
That's
I
what,
can.
I mean, no,
you go ahead.
no,
You don't need
no,
to do it.
no.
He's put his foot in it. Let him deal with it.
We don't want that. We don't want that.
He doesn't need to be mansplained. He said what he said, and let's take it as it is.
So not at all. Steph says
So
she doesn't want to dumb herself down to date men. To date men, not black men, not white men.
No,
to
I
date
literally
men.
said I have
so
dated down.
let me step off of the soapbox of defending you, and you say what you want to say.
So read his comment one more time. I want to be very clear.
I'm going to read all of his comments.
I want to defend Steph sometimes.
Okay.
You don't always get to defend her, man.
I wasn't looking to. I was responding
But you were shutting me down from defending her. I want to defend her.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Let me read the comment. Then John has the con.
My sweet.
Okay. So the first comment was, you say you play in the snow because you like to be treated well. Are you stoking the narrative that black men can't treat you? He says can, but I think he means can't. Yeah. You answer that. Then he says, so you are saying that white men are more intellectual than black men. That's the part that got me like ready to jump in.
This is on record. Rewind it back.
Right. Yeah. And then he says, not all. Steph says she doesn't want to dumb herself down to date men. I said what I said. Then he says black men. John wants to jump in here.
I want to defend her statement because her it doesn't need defending because it stands on its own, right? But I want to get across the problems with my dear friend.
But
my
hold
brother's
on,
comment.
before you do that, I want to make my statement. So one, I didn't say I dumb myself down to date men because I don't dumb myself down for anybody. It's not possible. What you get is what you get. I was born able to read, write, and speak coherently by the age of 3. So I'm good in that area. You never
3?
Yeah.
I was a jackass till about 12.
Listen, my grandfather used to give me the newspaper. He had expectations, right?
Look at you. Y'all do age faster.
So I don't dumb myself down for anybody. What I said is I have dated down and fit into the category that black women are often put in, which is ride or die. And statistically, there are less men with my level of education and my level of emotional intellect. Let's be clear. My EQ is high. I have gone to 13 years of therapy to deal with anything that I needed to deal with so that I could be an actualized individual, a life coach, and someone who tries to make a difference in the lives of others. And what I'm saying is I have dated beneath that standard. And these brothers will tell you I have. I have dated people who need therapy and refuse it. I have dated people who are spending their time pointing their fingers angry and use it. I'll also be very clear on something. Anytime that I have dated a non-black man, and by the way, I'm from Brooklyn. Come on now. I've dated more people who are Latino than I have white. I've never had to justify that by talking about black men. Meanwhile, I've heard black men say, I date snow bunnies because these black bitches, they talk too much and that. I've never had to do that, to date a man on the other side. He didn't expect that from me. He didn't expect that from me. I'm not even a sister that approaches it that way. Now, when I say I have dated down, what I'm saying is beneath the standard of which is expected of me, both personally and by the people in my circle. Now, anytime you're defensive about that, that's a you problem. It's not a me problem, right? And any assumptions on that makes an ass of you, not me. I am sorry. What it really boils down to, and ultimately, is again that entire whataboutism. Here we are sitting, ironically, in the space of it, of where I now have to. I'm now being polite enough to justify your whataboutism. So if you're saying this, what you must mean that, what about this? I never said that black men don't match up intellectually. What I'm saying is if you take statistically what I encounter based on my education and what's available, and the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. Black women outweigh black men in academic environments as well as now corporate environments. Do I love that? No. But that means that what is available to me at the level in which I deserve is less than what is available to the women that don't look like me. And I date whomever, I will date whomever holds me on the pedestal I deserve to be on. And I really don't care about the feelings that are hurt beyond that.
You know how Steppin with Marcus J live from NewDen. Legacy in that radio. John, make your next comment. Let's make it quick and then we're going to shift.
I'm going to say this not directly at my man Book, but at everybody, especially all the men listening. I'm a man's man, overly masculine. Some might even say toxic, so masculine man, right? And in the past year and a half, 2 years of working with Steph directly, I have been exposed to and educated about women's issues. Now, my community, because of my mama, right, and my sisters and the majority of people I've ever known are black, right? So black women, right? Women's issues means black women to me. I really don't. I was blacklisted within the music industry for wearing a button that said respect and protect the black woman. And a white executive woman came to me and said, that's a nice button, but shouldn't it say respect and protect all women? And I said, no, because white women are not my concern. I'm a black man. Black women are my concern. That got me blacklisted in the music industry. That's a whole nother story. But my point is, we do not consider the world that our women live in, because we only see it from our vantage point. Women live in a world where they are marginalized, victimized, and to the point of murder at a rate that is unacceptable by any contrast or comparability with any other woman. And unfortunately, not directly blaming it on black men, because guess what? People hurt the people that are next to them, and hurt people. So this is the dynamic that's going to happen, right? So black men are going to kill black women. Why? Because that's who's next to them, right? And black men are going to hurt black women because they're hurt, right? So this goes back into feeding into the narrative of racism that I was speaking about, and the construct and the way it's set up. We got to get around that in order to heal. And to be better, it's about perspective. They had this movie called Vantage Point, right? Where like 5 or 6 different people saw the same event and saw totally different things, right? We have to learn to go to the other vantage point to see what we're dealing with. I'm too light-skinned to ever date a white woman, right? I'm afraid. I'm afraid of that, right?
Them babies are gonna be white.
Black, yeah, too close, right?
Ice-T's baby. That's what his.
So
you can say what you want about
right.
the good, bad, and different, but the baby's gonna be white.
So now, right,
Hey, but
right.
That's just what it is.
But listen. I still carry the genetic ability to create a black child.
You might mess around and pop a chocolate baby out with a white girl.
Yeah, I could.
Shock the world.
I could, because I have that inside.
And then when you do that joint, right, this is what you're gonna be on the man.
You really gonna think he did something.
But guess what? the truth to that
Yeah,
statement.
that's the superiority of the melanin, though.
Right.
That's all.
Right, that's
why
the
we
Geno.
excited
But
about it. But anyway, go ahead. I'm
Francis
sorry.
Welling. But the whole point is
Yeah. Like you saw how quick he just threw that in there? But we heard you.
Yeah,
We
understanding.
heard you. We heard you.
Under
But he wants to
overstanding.
keep going. Let us give you
Overstanding.
them flowers on that slick shit you just
o-
said, brother.
overstanding.
Uh-oh.
Overstanding the fact
That's a
that
woke term.
the trueness of
They
what
say
we're
that.
talking about. Listen, the
I'm sorry.
trueness of what we're speaking about is not mine. It was given to me by my beautiful mother.
Yeah.
Right? This woman has the ability to produce a child of any sort that has ever been seen on this planet. It is not really mine. I can maybe have an effect on the gender, right? But the genetic formula that creates the falsehood of race or melanin or lack thereof lies in the black woman.
she's like
exclusively.
She's like the deuce in spades. She can do everything.
Exclusively.
Shut the house down.
Yeah.
Exclusively, right? So now, just to get back and close this out, is what I'm saying is, if when black women decide that they want to date white men or Asians or whatever, that's based on the fact that, again, and I might address it a little in my rant, we have, unfortunately, as a society, built into a false narrative about who does what and who, what, and whatever, what her expectations are, her absolute expectations. And if she cannot find it in the multitude of black men who she sees, but she does find it in someone else, that is her right to do so, right? Because we are stuck in the world that we have. And until we do things to change it, that's all we're going to do. What black women own more businesses. They're the most educated. They carry the money. Like what did you say? Like 85% of what
84%.
Listen, we are 37% of this country's GDP. If we remove it, it would fall from number 1 to number 7, and we'd be number 8 or something in the world's economy. The black people of America have a larger economy than Germany, France, Brazil, like other major nations, right? So, and that's based on the backs and the blood and sweat of black women, because in order for that to happen and keep us in the poor state that we live in, black men had to be emotionally and mentally marginalized, right? And then buy into the falsehood of living a lifestyle that could not possibly be respected by our women. And so now we fed into the bullshit and lived up to it, and now get mad because they don't want to deal with it. And part of why they don't want to deal with it, again, is the bullshit that is America. I mean, it's a lot of blame to go around, but don't misconstrue things that Steph say, because I know this from, again, our back and forth in my education on women issues with Steph. If she's saying something, she's done the research. She's giving you statistics and facts, and it's not about personal opinion or emotion.
You know how Steph Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Let's give some love to Legacy in that radio alumni, our friend and our sister Ashley Joy. Ashley
Hey,
Joy.
Ash.
Very Ashley. Where can we find her, John? Where's the store?
Very Ashley is at Stony Point Fashion Park, directly adjacent to Brooks Brothers, down the block from Saks Fifth Avenue and across from Tiffany's.
Yes.
Stony Point Fashion Park, high-end shopping here in the city of Richmond. Very Ashley.
Ashley, drop that TikTok. You've been doing it, girl. Drop the TikTok.
Yeah, I've been
Drop the
seeing
TikTok, sis.
you, girl. I've been seeing you.
Very
I've been
Ashley.
seeing you.
Shop Very Ashley.
Yeah,
Ashley
she's
Jefferson.
fine with her fine self. Ashley, I love you, man. It's so cool
And
to
about
see
her
you.
business.
Yeah, it's so cool
About her
because, you know, it's just
Entrepreneur.
to watch
Very
her joy.
Ashley, VA Fashion Magazine.
Yes.
Was she
Very
nominated
Ashley.
for something?
MBL,
in the
Metropolitan Business
Metropolitan
League.
Business League.
Entrepreneur.
There are photos on my Facebook of the and
It's 'cause
videos. Y'all
she's-
can
it's
check it out.
It's because she's great, and it's
Yeah.
like
Phenomenal.
it's so cool to watch.
Phenomenally.
It's so cool.
Phenomenal.
You know, something like a phenomenon. I'm sorry, I just got corny. I'm corny, man.
But you know what?
But it was real though.
that
You are like
right
a phenomenon.
there, that right there is the moment.
Yeah.
It's the love that, what she's doing and how she's doing it resonates with you.
We just
because
bursted separately
Yes.
and differently.
It resonates with you because you're so confident in who you are that you don't even have to worry about whether it takes from you, adds to you, whatever.
No,
You just want to recognize
hey, look,
greatness.
I need. Here's the thing with it, right? I want for me, mine, people who move like me, people who come from where I come from, my community,
Yes.
black people,
The culture.
black women, black men. I want all y'all to win. See, here's the thing, right? Y'all can't compete with me. You cannot compete with me.
Mm.
I'm gonna tell you why you can't compete with me, and it's gonna shock you.
Drop the slogan.
Drop it.
The reason why you can't compete with me because I want you to win too.
Oh,
No, I thought he was
you
gonna
left
drop
it
the
out.
And this is
jewel.
why I don't want y'all to do that. Just let me go.
Okay. Go ahead.
Let me go.
Go ahead. Do it. Do it.
I do not fight with my people. I want you to win. I want you to win. I want you to win every time. Every time. I want the video that you put out to get more views than your last one.
Yes.
Right? I want the product that you just put out to sell more than your last one. I want your show to garner more views than mine, than the guy that you competing against. I want us all to win.
Yeah.
So you can't compete against the dude that wants you to win too.
You look crazy.
You can try if you want to. You can fight me if you want to. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I'm not gonna fight you back, but see, I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
You fighting, I'm not fighting. So it's easy for me to love on John. You know what I'm saying? That's easy. That's easy. That's my brother, and I love him. And I openly say it to the detriment or the possibility of making it weird. I don't care. He tells me he loves me all the time. It's my brother.
Love
He
you,
loves
Marcus.
me. I love you too, John. See, here's the thing. We get caught up in this unnatural competition
Yeah.
where we're supposed to feel like if I succeed, then that's paramount. That means I defeated that one.
Right.
I'm not in competition with you. I want you to win too. Because see, I know what you got to deal with to get here. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing that I'm dealing with. And if I call you my brother, because I'm not going to call you, what's up, my N-word? How am I going to have a kinship with you? And I'm saying, what's up, my N-word? But if I say, what's up, my brother, you already know that I'm favorable towards you.
Yeah.
You know, if I say, what's up, my N-word, you might have to question. Because if you like me, you're not feeling that as a term of endearment, even though there are those who do. But if I say, what's up, my brother, you already know what it is. I'm coming to you with my arms open, saying, peace to you. I want you to win. And it's the same for you, Steph. And obviously, it's the same for Ashley Joy, who we paused
Yes.
putting over for the point of making sure that y'all listeners understood, certainly coming from me, I ain't fighting with none of you motherfuckers. I'm not doing that.
That
Why?
needs to be a sound bite.
I'm
That
not-
needs
I'm
to be a
not.
TikTok
I'm not-
sound
I'm not-
right
hey,
there.
Look, man, I speak naturally. It is it's off-putting for some. You know, I'll place an N-word somewhere, F-word, I'm sorry, someplace, Freudian slip. I'll place an F-word somewhere where it don't fit. And if my mama and my daddy is listening right now, they're like, oh my God.
Sorry,
he said
Pop
fuck
J.
again.
Sorry, Mom
Yes. Because sometimes saying fuck applies to the conversation. I fucks with y'all. Listeners, viewers, Ashley, John, Steph, Aubrey, all of y'all. I fucks with y'all. And I think it's
Even
important.
brother that thinks I don't fuck with him, I fuck
Hey,
with
look,
you
I
too.
fucks with him
I
too.
want
And let me
to
tell you,
do
and let me
well.
Trust me when
let
I
me-
tell
let me-
you.
want you to
Trust
do
me, I
well.
tell you. The two of you would get along well.
I'm telling,
believe it.
and see, and I agree with Steph. And see, here's the thing: we often think in disagreement it's a fight, it's a shade,
No.
but What I just said right before this moment tells you how I feel about our brother Butte, because he spoke his truth. He asked a question. And was I aggressive in defense of my sister and wanting to know where you coming from, bro? Yes. But if he bowed it, which on your word he is, then he understands where I was coming from. And his response, obviously, and his response to my question shows me that he's bowed it. He gets it. Here he has his comment. Here he has a brother who is responding to it. He's like, you know what? I hear him. I can dig it. Because he wants Steph to win just like I do. He just asked a question.
And FYI, last 4 boyfriends have been black men.
And I challenge that. Let me read these comments, because we're getting close to where we need to be getting close to shut down. And this
Don't
is the
we have
part
another topic or something?
we I'm looking at the clock.
Okay.
It is clock dictated. But let me get Ashley's comment in. I put her over and didn't even get a chance to read her comment. I put it on the screen, but this is worthy of us reading it. I love how you guys are standing up for my sis. This is more of what we need in this world today. Protect black women. It gets tiring to always have to fight for our honor. And I am over here clapping and cheering with tears in my eyes. So many black men are damaged. And no matter how much we reword what we say or try to do better, they will only hear what they want to hear because their hearts and minds are filled with pain. John and Marcus, so much love to you both for being such good representations of black men and for treating black women right.
All the time.
I love it. Steph responds to her. She responded to her in social media. Steph, I'm going to read your comment, okay? She says, Ashley Jefferson, yes. I spend time in company of these two men for exactly that reason. They are able to hear me and process beyond their own feelings and opinions. They show me true love, and they love themselves so much that what I need for me does not offend them.
Not even a little
bit. Yes. Ashley says, I love y'all. Follow me at ShopVeryAshley on IG and Facebook at A Very Ashley Life on TikTok.
Yes.
She is our sister.
I love
so
seeing
if
her
you rock
use
with us,
TikTok. I do.
if you rock with us, that means you rock with her. And so we appreciate it. Let's see. Shaq says, before Shaq, Aubrey says, epic show tonight. Epic. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Shaq says, trust there are a lot of brothers that are out here protecting their sisters. They don't get the attention that negativity does, but all caps. We out here.
I believe that.
End quote. And caps. Our legal and Sister Tamika Robinson, who we love and protect as well, says, I second that. I will add, it is equally exhausting to have to prove to our brothers that we even have an honor worth defending. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. Live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio.
Bars.
John said that he wants one more. I'm going to add one more, but we have to promise each other that we're going to do this one because this is the kind of topic that will cause us to want to spend more time than what we have, right? It is the top of our final hour, which means we got to get out of here before this hour ends. Y'all know what the top of this final hour is. You know what I'm saying. Ain't no hashtag Marcus J Live from NewDen.
We started.
We did, but we're gonna finish on time.
All right.
You know, but here's the thing, right? Steph, I want you on this one first.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about Ciara and Russell.
All right.
And there are a lot of people
I'm packing up. I'm out of here.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And see, I wasn't expecting that this topic would hit at the end of what everything else we've been talking about, but you know what? It just happens to be so be it. But there are a lot of brothers that have had issues with the dress that Ciara has worn at the Oscars that happened.
Vanity Fair party.
The Vanity Fair party, but
post Oscars.
Post Oscars, right? It was a revealing dress. I'm not one that has the vocabulary to get into the specifics.
That was such a generous word.
Yeah, because I'm good at this.
That's what I do.
I am.
Mr. College graduate.
Yeah, it's just, it is the moderate who has figured out a way to say what the hell I want to say without offending people. And if you get offended by what I say, it's a you problem. It's just what it is. Because I try to be respectful to everybody. I know my heart. The Lord knows my heart. I'm good. Having said all of that, we seen Ciara's dress. It was very revealing. We saw a lot more of her than maybe there would be some brothers who would want to be seen by their ladies. We know this because of how they are coming for Russell and the way they're coming for Russell. Now, let's just be clear. There is a strong lot of brothers who feel that Russell is not as manly. He was the corny dude. He's a simp dude who allows his woman to run all over him. That's what a lot of brothers think. I said it simply in plain language, but that's what it is. And they looking at him, looking at her with the revealing dress, and they're questioning his air quotes, because I don't agree with this, but I'm going to say it because it needs to be said, control of his woman, right? And so having said all of that, a lot of the brothers feel like they would never let more air quotes, allow more air quotes, their woman to be seen publicly how she's been seen. And so I got my feelings about that, but I wanted to lay it out there the way I'm hearing it, the way I'm seeing it, the way I interpret the brothers' feelings about Ciara, Russell, and more than Ciara and Russell in this particular instant with regards to the dress that she wore, but generally their relationship, why they care about it, I will never understand. I'm only talking about it because y'all clearly think more about it than I do. Tempt my hand. But Steph, jump in here. Russell be smiling every time I see him. That's all I got to say. Go on.
No, yes, he was. He was
That
thinking about what's happening later.
That particular
I saw one without a smile.
Yeah, and it got snapped amongst a million other photos that was snapped in that moment. Really, John, you know better.
Brevity.
You absolutely know better than what you just said.
That's the one they was pushing online.
You know better
that's the
than
one
what
that got
you
the
just said.
comments.
Because it helps the narrative.
Exactly.
It helps the narrative.
But that's brevity, y'all. That's brevity.
But jump in here.
I know better.
I know, but I want you to
Why you
expand
holding your Corona like that?
because I'm about to sip it. Because as soon as I turn it over to you, it's sippy time. So jump in here, Steph, and then John, so I have time to sippy.
So you might be surprised to hear me say this, but it was not just black men. So you remember earlier, both of you said, "Oh my God, yes." Womanist dropped for a moment. Now, earlier, both Marcus and John, you commented on how conservative Black America is. So there are just as many Black women that have a hard time seeing her live free and happy and be loved because they're not experiencing it, as there are
loved in her freedom,
in
spite of her individuality,
and her freedom supported. And it's bothering them because I went through a lot of the comments on Twitter and everything else, and there were just as many women. Yeah, she out here showing too much, and she out here. And the same thing happened about 3 weeks ago when the mayor of Richmond posted a wedding photo of his wife. Everybody saying, "Congrats, congrats, congrats." You gotta always have one old biddy. Yeah, but you're showing too much skin. It is just the nature of it's shocking. We say how conservative the Black community is. It's repressed more than it is conservative. The Black community struggles while we make babies. We struggle with talking about sexuality.
It's retarded.
While we make babies, we struggle with sexuality, right? We get married, and most of us that are getting married are not getting married in a healthy way. And so what the biggest problem is, lots of the people who were commenting don't have a wife or husband to cuddle with at night. What is the biggest problem here is most are not used to seeing a healthy relationship. They are not used to seeing a healthy marriage. And I would challenge people and say one of the biggest problems with Ciara is not what she was wearing. It is that she had the nerve to find a man that loved her after being made a single mother. She had the nerve to not only find a man who loved her after what some men would say made her low value. She found a man who is worth more than the average Black man, who is worth more than the average white man, who was able to purchase her music catalog for her, whose child loved him so much he could call him Papa. That bothered Black men. Oh, somebody else is calling. You'd rather see a Black child without a father figure than with a man that chooses to step in and play a parental role. So all of this about Ciara in a dress that her husband watched her put on, mind you, he saw her without it before she put it on. They might have had fun in that dress before they stepped out the house. This man is so proud of his woman first, and he knows who he married. He's seen music videos. We've seen her gyrating and laying down on the floor and everything. We've seen it all. He knows he's with an entertainer. He knows they're part of the entertainment industry. And when they both made a statement about it, they are laughing at you. But I truly think what we need to say about the community is we have not seen a healthy Black relationship other than the Obamas and the Huxtables. Most of you, I've heard people making comments about her. This isn't wife material. Your mama was a single mother. What do you know about wife material? You don't know. Your mama didn't have a husband. What do you know about wife material? You didn't marry the woman that you put a baby in. You don't know nothing about wife material. Some of you women are looking at her and say, as a wife, you ain't no wife. Statistically, most of you commenting, not a wife. You don't have a right to comment on as a wife. Why can't we be happy seeing somebody be loved? It's because we haven't experienced that ourselves. And we don't know what it looks like when someone is being loved wholly in their truth as they are. And when that other person is promoting them and hyping them up. Listen, give me a husband that's my hype man. Give me a husband that's my hype man. Give me a husband that's like, baby, that looks good on you. Let's go. Most of you would want that. So I really, it wasn't just, again, wasn't just Black men. It was Black women struggling to see a woman happy.
Here goes my problem with the whole thing. One, y'all continue to be so easily distracted, right? Wasn't I just talking in the green talk about banks failing, about dealing with right now the average wealth of a Black family is negative like $8, and y'all worried about what these very, very rich people are doing in a photo shoot, in a photo op. The whole idea of the photo op is to generate talk. So all y'all doing is increasing the value with your stupid ass comments. Right now, you create the narrative of the idea of the woman and the wife, and he can't first of all, can't nobody let nobody do anything. People are gonna do, women and men are gonna do. What makes you think you can let your woman? What is this? 1200, 1300 before women had any sort of rights where they were just property of men? Stop it. And that's only in the white world, because it wasn't going down like that in the majority of the continent. Right? That whole idea of the man let them to rule the house and then going to the Judeo-Christian, or the man is the God of the house and he serves God and the woman serves the man. Shut up. Right? People are going to do what they want to do. If you have a problem with anything that your woman does, or the woman that you're involved with does because she's not your possession, all you got to do is step. And all that does is make it not your woman anymore, not the woman you're involved in. So you're not letting her, let yourself be better than. Let yourself control yourself. Having self-control and discipline defines who you are as a human being, not trying to have somebody else do anything. That's the first thing. Second thing, you women, I'm sorry, y'all can't pop out the kids and have the body back like her, because that's all that is. That's all it is. And I tell you women all the time, until y'all can stop tearing each other down, you're gonna have to slow down on asking somebody else to support you, because y'all come for each other.
Hard.
That's like the black community. We shooting each other down in the street, talking about the white man killing us. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, statistics and white, and I'll tell you, and I'll go all day about systemic racism and white supremacy and the construct and the effect that it has on people. And it's not entirely your fault, but God damn it, you pulling the trigger. And women, y'all are pulling the trigger. That woman had a baby, some couple babies, got one or two, three babies, and put her body back the way it needed to be, even if she paid for it. Don't be mad, right? Don't hate, participate.
I'm gonna give me somebody look at me like Russ.
Get
Russ,
your ish
Russ
together.
Danger
And
Wilson.
let me tell you something, men, right? And I'm gonna end it like this. Any woman I've ever been with, I was their cheerleader, right? If anybody ever had anything to know about them or say about them, whatever, they would say that I was the one to promote them way beyond anything else. Reason being, because I know who I am. And like Marcus said, you can't compete with me. And I say you can't compete with me because I'm not competing with you. But I say you can't compete with me because I done did it all. Right? I'm here and I'm retired at 55 because I've done it. I have problems getting motivated in the morning to do any goddamn thing. Because when I think about shit I want to do, I did that already. So now, while I'm planning shit like a tour of the world, right, that I want to do in a certain way, and I want to do something around events in the U.S. in athletics and different shit that I want to do within one calendar year. That's what I want to do, and I want to do it in a certain way. So that's the only thing I had. Everything else I done did. Everything else I've done. If it's a car, I drove it, right? I done been places, been on private planes, sat in rooms with millionaires, billionaires. I've done it. So I don't need to compete with anybody. And guess what? If you and a woman are together, the better she appears, the better she does, is the better you, because y'all together. If she shine bright, you glowing.
Like a diamond.
So know up, glow up, and grow the fuck up.
Yeah, I can dig it. Ain't no how Steppin, Marcus, Jay, live from NewDen Legacy and Radio. The following comments that I'm going to read, I will paraphrase because most of which I've already put on the screen. But for those who are listening to the archive and perhaps not watching, I want to make sure that you get the gist. So, Illegal, Tamika Robinson says, women, especially black, came for Ciara in her dress with the premise that she is a wife and mother and should be covered up at a party that was themed Naked Hollywood. Juan Shack says, this is his wife. He was good with it. Why? Because she's with him. Man, if y'all people don't stay out of their marriage, he knows who he's married to and he's comfortable with her. They happy. That's all that matters. I don't even got to say nothing because Shaq said exactly what I would have said. I said it in social media. Why y'all worrying about it? Like, and Steph said it earlier as well. It's like they got dressed together, you know. And John said, well, he's not smiling in the pictures, like, because 1,000 pictures per second was taken. Like, you think he was frowning like that the whole damn time? I hope that your tongue was firmly in your cheek when you said that.
So far,
you know,
so far planted. I told you that was brevity, man.
Tamika said they don't have a wife or husband because they got problems with dressing like Ciara. It was on and popping. Shaq says dudes really out here showing their insecurities consistently. Get a therapist. 100% agree with that. Like, and I seen brothers with long Facebook posts. I seen brothers go live. I seen all of this. Well, see, wouldn't be my woman because my woman wouldn't do this and this and this. Well, cool if your woman wouldn't, but his woman did, and he's standing there next to her, good with it, you know. And the reality is, this gonna sound harsh, y'all. This gonna sound harsh. Matter of fact, I ain't gotta precipitate my. Your woman don't look like Ciara, bruh. And I'm sure she's a fine, beautiful woman, but she ain't got the
allegedly.
She ain't got the confidence to wear what she wore.
I'm sure she's a fine, beautiful woman.
I'm sure she is. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure she is. But
that's it. No disrespect.
because see, here's the thing, and I mean, if you took it that way, you took it. You know my heart. If you don't know my heart, then you probably
knows
listen
my
to the wrong show.
Look,
But
no
here's the truth.
disrespect.
Here's the truth,
Your
right?
woman don't look like
I
Ciara.
ain't never been the type of dude that worries about what she shaped like, look like, none of that kind of stuff. If she's wearing what she wearing, she just wearing what she wearing. It's just what it is.
It is still free 99 to mind your business.
You know, like people want to get on
Free.
people. You know, people want to get on Lizzo for doing what she doing. Why? Because she's plus size.
Yeah.
You mad at Lizzo because she plus size? How about you be mad at Lizzo because she's in your face? You wouldn't be mad about some, be mad at that.
Or turn
But
the
guess
channel.
what? But
You
guess
ain't
what?
forced to see it.
There's plenty voluptuous, shapely ladies that's in your face. You ain't mad at them. what you mad for? You mad because Lizzo not built the way you want her to be built. That's what it is.
Somebody's
It
squeezing up on
offends
Lizzo
you.
right now.
It offends you that she's plus size and she got curves. It offends you that she puts her ass in your face. It's a lot of them that putting their ass in your face. You're not mad at them.
Look, she got enough money to look good.
You sharing her videos with your homeboys. How do I know? Because I get them too. I share them with my homeboys. You know what I'm saying? And I promise you, they're not sharing Lizzo. You know what I mean? Why? Why they not sharing Lizzo? I know why. And I'm saying it outwardly, outing myself to make the whole point. Bruh, you mad at you throwing shade at Russell. Russell the corny dude, Russell the simp dude, right? He the simp dude because he love his lady. He the simp dude because he want to do everything it take to make her happy, right? He the simp dude for that, right? He the simp dude for spending his money for putting a smile on his lady's face, right? He the simp dude because his lady's dressed how she's dressed, and he's standing next to her smiling and happy because his woman look like that. Every dude, not every, can't speak for every. Try not to speak in absolutes. A lot of bros wish they had not just Ciara, but a woman that looked like her. But they mad at Russell because he got one. So it ain't about the fact that his woman is still standing there, you know, partially dressed. It's more about the jealousy. You ain't got one that look like that. You ain't got one that move like that. You ain't got what he got. Oh, man, a real man don't allow his woman to show her assets. A real man allows, air quotes, a real man allows his woman to be her and whatever her is. You can have a whole conversation about it. You can discuss it in private. And if the end result is she's dressed to how she's dressed, then you know what? You can throw all the shade and cast all the aspersions on that man all you want. But guess what? He left with her. And you the one that's looking at her. That's what it is. That's at the end of the day, that's what it is. And I'm not built for jealousy. If you know me, you know. From or given. I'm not built for jealousy. I don't care enough. And if you care that much about me, let it go. Don't be jealous of how I move. I want you to win too. For real. I'm a root for you as much as I'm a root for me. So Russell, your woman fine as fuck. She fine as fuck, as they say. So you know what? The half a picture that the brothers want to point to where you not smiling because they caught you in a yawn or a sneeze or a cough or some other kind of facial expression that does not express joy and glee. But if they take shot 17 out of 100, they're going to see you smiling like a Cheshire cat because she fine as fuck and they jealous of you. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J Live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. All right. It's time for us to do the moments in Black history, the missing children, and our rants so that we can send y'all home. Some of y'all want to watch the Knicks. Some of y'all want to watch Monday Night Raw. Some of y'all just about tired of hearing us but won't leave until we leave. Either way you're doing it, I'm going to get us out of here. So on this week in Black history, we're going to start in 1981. After a Mobile, Alabama jury acquits Black man of killing a white police officer, acquitted means he ain't do the shit. Ku Klux Klan members randomly kidnapped 19-year-old Michael Donald, a Black man, and hang his body from a tree. Randomly. Yeah. All right. 1939, Lloyd Gaines, a Black man, disappears months after the United States Supreme Court orders him admitted to University of Missouri of Law School. Families suspect he was murdered. He got admitted to law school and then he disappeared. never to be seen again. All right. 1875, Tennessee passes laws authorizing racial discrimination in hotels, public transportation, and amusement parks. Somehow, we still see the remnants of such today. I could read more. I don't want to. Let's get out of here, because if I read more, it'd be more stuff like that. It'd be more stuff like that. Marcus J., why do you always read the worst of the Black history? You could be talking about Fannie Lou Hamer. You could be talking about Shirley Chisholm. You could be talking about George Washington Carver. Why do you tell us about incidences where white people fuck with y'all? Because white people still doing it. And it ain't a racial thing. It's a system thing. It's about the system. It's built into the system. We look at each other around certain things and we wonder why they are. It's because of the system. It's the system that has us looking at George Floyd with his knee on his neck, and we ask the question, well, wasn't he on drugs? It's the system where we see Tamir Rice get shot 4 seconds, 12 years old now, shot 4 seconds after the police happened upon him, and we ask, well, what was he doing? It's the system. It's the system. That's why I read those kinds of moments in Black history, because I want to point out the system. It's the system that makes us think that Black people are inferior. White is right. And the manifestation of that is that we are undervalued, underestimated, and marginalized. I stole that from Joe Madison, the Black Eagle, because it is the truth. It's the truth. We don't always like the truth. Gotta look it in the eye, swallow it like castor oil on the Little Rascals.
I got a nice one for you.
With Marcus J, live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. All right, let's get into our missing children. We got a couple. Let's start in, where are we going to go? We're going to start in Chesterfield, or we're going to start in Henrico. I'm feeling again, because my computer's loading, man. Still loading, man. Almost ready to finish loading, man. All right. I am.
Oh,
Well, yeah. All right. So we look. Yeah, we're looking for Jade Harvey. Hey, look, man, dead air is the death of radio, so that's why I gotta say silly shit until the computer comes up. Right. But here it is: Jade Harvey, missing since March 13th. 14-year-old Black male. He's 4'10", weighs 100 pounds. Last seen wearing tan jogger pants, tan sweatshirt. And he requires medication and medical attention. If you've seen Jade Harvey, please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children and their website, missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-LOST, 1-800-843-5678. Or if you are here locally, the Henrico County Police Department at 804-501-5000. Jade Harvey is who we're looking for. We're also looking for Dekaya Taylor, March 17th, from Chesterfield County here in Richmond. 14-year-old black female. She's 5'6", 110. Last seen wearing a red hoodie, blue jeans, red shoes. Also requires medical attention and may be in need of her medication. So we're looking for Dekaya Taylor. Please contact the National Center for Missing and/or Exploited Children and website missingkids.org, or contact them at 1-800-843-5678, 1-800-LOST. If you're in Chesterfield County, the phone number is 804-759-8669. Ain't no half step, Marcus J. Live from NewDen, Legacy in that radio. Aubrey, you get the final word in this segment before we pass the con John and his rant. Aubrey says too much concern with things going on outside of our own relationships, our own house. What they do don't make you shit. So there it is. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from NewDen, Legacy Internet Radio. We're getting one more hit in our social media. Let's see. Uncle H says, my niece Jessica Easley is watching. Yay. Peace to you, Uncle H, and peace to our cousin.
Yeah.
Our cousin Jessica. Our new cousin Jessica. Welcome to the fold, sister.
Hey, cuz.
We appreciate you rocking and with us. Uncle H is a staple. We love him so much. And that's Unc. And so we appreciate you and we appreciate him. We appreciate everybody who's been rocking with us tonight. All the commenters have been a bunch of them. Some of them I've been able to read, and those who I can't read, I put on the screen. Hopefully, we touched on everybody. So it's time to rant. It's time to close. John has the con, my brother. I'm seeing and I'm feeling a rebirth in you, and I can see it in both of your eyeballs. I can see it in the left one, and I can see it in the right one. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate it, man. And thank you for being you.
We love you.
And thank you for leading us. And thank you for your vigor. You know, the way you couch your language is necessary because you speak the tongue of our people. And I appreciate you for it. So it's time for you to rock because we're gonna roll with you, bro. What you got?
First off, for the person that commented about your moments in Black history, if you need something nice, here's something nice for you. 50-ish years ago on this day, the woman y'all know as Queen Latifah was born. Happy birthday, Queen.
Dana
53, 1970.
Okay, I wasn't gonna blow her up like that.
You said 50 or something. I mean, you already blew it up.
She's gorgeous.
50-ish, I said. But yeah, 53.
Dana look.
I mean, 53 is better than more than 53. Yeah.
But listen,
I'm
happy
sorry.
birthday to the Queen. And there goes something for you.
Jersey's finest.
What's my man too? It's his birthday. The guy from the actor that was in the guy that knocked Lorenz Tate down the stairs in the
Oh gosh, I know you're talking about, but I don't know.
Which movie we talking about?
Pinky mama.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know
Clifton
James, not James. Clifton.
I don't want to say Davis because that's the other guy.
Clifton James is a different actor, but I'm gonna look him up.
Yeah, but that guy.
Pinky.
Yeah, Pinky. Happy birthday, Pinky. Who sent you, motherfucker?
What's up?
So yeah,
Even though I can't say the word.
Into my rant.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second because I got comments.
Pinky from Friday, and while you were efforting that, from Pinky from Friday, yeah, that was him from Friday, right?
Yeah, that's him. From Friday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because
I'm off my game.
yeah, because he had the record store, you know what I'm saying, and he been in a whole. It's Clifton. I think I want to say Clifton Powell.
Clifton
Powell.
Yes.
Clifton Powell, March 16, 1956. So yes,
In everything.
yeah.
Shows up everywhere.
He's 67 years old. So there you go. That's what you talk about. So John, continue with the con, brother.
Okay, so what I was gonna go with my rant is this. As a group, right? As a group, people of recent African descent who are in this nation, this construct, this company called United States or United States of America, we have to try somehow, some way, we have to try to not be as distracted. We are far too distracted. We have to somehow, some way, stop believing that the things we have been told and the things that were forced upon us are the right things. We really think that we have to fight fair even when the other person's fighting dirty, right? We actually believe that we owe, and again, never are these things about all 100%, but the exception proves the rule. The fact that we have to go find a small percent for it not to be all makes it all right? The fact that most Black people feel like we owe white people something back for them oppressing us and gaining off of our death and our lack of life in existence is absurd. And the fact that people can't let it go, right? That they can't, one, for the most part, let go of the white God. That's the first thing, the image in your brain. Listen, I'm not saying it's easy. It's hard for me to be subconscious. I have to be conscious consistently, not to when I think of God, think of Jesus, and think of the white guy. right? That's a everyday conscious, because in my subconscious, because as a child in my formative years, it was drilled into me that this white man was my God, right? So again, what I'm saying is we got to be conscious of it, and we got to remove ourselves from all of these false narratives about how we're supposed to live. This goes back to what Steph was saying about dating, what we said about Ciara and Russell Wilson in the photo. Let these people live how they want to live, right? You don't have any type of influence on these people, nor should you desire to have it. And this is my issue with the majority of police. I'm not going to say all, but the majority of police have issues that they want to enforce their will on other people. That's, as a man, if what you want to do is control other men, you might have some, hidden homosexual things going on with you. And not that that's a bad thing, but you might need to address it. Because why else would you want to force your way on another man? Right? Forcing your way on a woman, you're a rapist. Even if it ain't sexual. Right? So anytime you feel like you got to force yourself on other people, you got issues, man. Right? So stop trying to tell people how to live their lives and start making a life for yourself. Right? Just because you existing, just because you're here doesn't mean that you live in. The vast majority of anybody who can hear me or who will ever hear me, y'all ain't living. Y'all just breathing, existing batteries to feed the system. Y'all don't know nothing about life. You had never woken up in the morning and then decided what you was going to do with your day. Your whole life was dictated to you based on what somebody else's needs were that you were working to provide. Right? You never went any place and sat down and money was not an issue. Right? So you don't know about life. So stop worrying about how other people live and start considering how you're not living and how you can improve your life. Artificial intelligence is here. There is no more excuse. You can go online right now and this dude did it. He went online. He asked the AI. He says, "Listen, tell me the fastest way that I can make this $100 into a fortune." The AI started answering, and as the AI started answering, he went from $100 to $7,000 in like a day, and then to like $75,000 in 4 days. Come on, it's that simple. You don't even have to be smart. You don't have to be smart. All you got to do is want it and stop being distracted and stop trying to influence others. Locus of control, people. What can you handle? Christians like to say, God is not going to give you more than you can handle. Right. So figure out and stop giving Jesus the will. He don't got a license. Control your own life. Right? Control the things around you. Reach out and touch what you can feel, right? And make something of yourself. All of this getting by shit is dead, is stinking, it's ruining your life, and it's having an adverse effect on others who refuse to dismiss you all, like me, like Steph. You know how bad I want to just kick y'all to the curb, you trifling bastards? But I can't, because I love you, because you look like my mother and you look like my people I love and cherish. So when I see you, I want to see this hope. I want to have this feeling. I want to have this community. I want to give a head nod. I want to give a dap pound. I want to talk shit in the barbershop, right? I want to be able to do that. But y'all are so pathetic in your non-participation and self-awareness in living that you're making it too difficult for me. So guess what? If you're going to give up, give up. But stop messing with the babies. Right? Stop messing with the babies and putting these false narratives in their head, going online and dressing up your kid in bootleg designer nonsense. Having your kids, having 5, 6, 7, 8-year-old girls doing twerking in knockoff designer. What is wrong with you stupid ass people, right? Why you even have your children on social media? I got so many social media friends, they post their kids, I immediately skip. They don't get a like. If you ever wonder, I like everything. If you don't get a like, it's because you put your kid on social media. How are you going to exploit your child? Doesn't have any any control of their own life because they're your responsibility. So you're going to exploit them like your pet? You're going to put them on display for other people to have comment on your children and then get mad if somebody say your kid is ugly? That's your fault, dummy. Right now, I told people when I retired, part of what I did was started a financial consulting business, and I helped some people make some money. Hopefully, most of the people I helped kept that money, right? And I'm telling people now, I'm no longer charging. Reach out to me. I will help you put your life in some kind of financial order, right? So that you can get through this system. Right now, it's not hard, right? Anything you want to know, you can become an expert in just by Googling, using YouTube, or taking advantage of online courses that are free, right? You don't have to get a degree that, get classes that matriculate into a degree to have the knowledge and information that you need to succeed, right? You can do this. And if you can't, AI do it for you. The excuses are over. The time for the bullshit talk is done. If you broke today, it's your own damn fault. I don't want to hear nothing about the white man. I don't even want to hear about the system. The system is here, it's alive, and it's working, but we have a workaround. God damn it. It's called the internet, it's called AI, and it's called giving a damn. And with those three, if you can't do it, then like I said, walk off a building. That's the end of it.
Ain't no have Steppin, Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Let me get a shout out to my dear friend and sister, our sister Unique, who's checking us out. And she's Legacy and that radio alum as well. She joined us. We did a religion show with she and I and Grizzy way back in the early days. Yeah, and he was serious. Yeah, and he was serious.
Grizzy was serious.
He was serious. He's way back when, but this was early days. And peace to the nation of gods and earths. Our sister Unique was letting us know that the actor whose name that we couldn't remember was Clifton Powell. so
Dope actor.
Yeah. That's Pinky. Let's see. Buke says, great show. Sorry I had to jump to a real estate forum. My wife is guest speaking on. So absolutely make sure you support your lady.
Look at you supporting
support your lady, and you should, and you let us know.
Incredible husband, father. That man.
So we got love for you, bro. We got love for you. And one of the things that you'll learn about me, if you don't already know, I will always show love and grace, even in the course of discourse. You know what I'm saying? If we disagree, we can agree to disagree without being disagreeable. And my dear friend and sister Unique says dope. So she hears us shouting her out. So thank you.
I gotta take this moment. I have to. And excuse me, y'all. People, listen to me. I'm gonna apologize for something I just said. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to acknowledge that emotional and mental health is a real thing.
Thank you.
Right? It's a real thing. And I don't want to belittle anyone who's lost anyone to suicide or anything like that. It's a real thing. I'm not a person who, because I'm arrogant as fuck, it's hard for me to identify with it.
Are you really?
But I have an understanding and appreciation.
Did you know?
I have an understanding and appreciation for people and the things that they go through, and I don't want to belittle that. That was my emotion and my vigor, as Marcus called it, speaking out against how I feel that if you are not trying to live your best life, if you're not trying to make yourself better, a better version today than you were yesterday, you're taking up valuable space, right? But I don't want anyone to really hurt themselves, because you're not really hurting yourself. You're hurting the people around you. and that's not fair.
Yeah, I can appreciate it. Thank you for that clarity, bro. You're a wonderful person, man, and I appreciate the clarity. One thing that I will say about John is one, if he feels as though his position has not been fully understood, he will take the time and effort to make it plain. And there are those around us who don't have that level of maturity in their conversation. You do. I appreciate it, man, and I'm always about giving ones their flowers. So thank you, bro. Thank you for leading the way you lead. And Unique says thank you, and she says peace. And I just learned so much from her. I think the world needs to know you.
Peace,
sis.
Queen.
Yeah, absolutely. Ain't no how Steph Marcus J Line from NewDen Legacy and that radio. Steph, be yeah.
Sometimes I feel like we're in an episode of
What
a different world.
Hey, look, and I watched the pig nose episode of Different World before Denise
Oh my
left.
gosh.
When they got in trouble in the dorm, and the people that got in trouble had to wear the pig nose
Yes.
and whatnot. I watched that this morning. Yeah,
I love that episode. I
Yeah.
watch Different World when I want
Yeah,
that
man.
feeling of coziness and nostalgia.
It's family, it's home,
Yeah,
you
it
know,
feels good.
and you know, between Charles Oakley and A Different World, you know, those two things for very different reasons. Charles Oakley is a New York Knicks player in
Yes,
the 80s
Oak
and
Tree.
90s, you know, representing Virginia Union. I would hear them, Virginia Union. I was like, what the hell
If
is
you
that?
anywhere
And I would look
around
into
here,
it.
Oakley, we would love to
And
speak to you.
you know, and I spent some time with it. I spent some time with a few times. And I appreciate the brother. I had an opportunity to have a beer with him and our favorite watering hole.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And shout out to Ray Neblett, who checked in earlier, you know, who is a contemporary and a teammate of Oak. So I had an opportunity to hang out with Charles Oakley with Ray Neblett, you know, and you know, shout out to him. He's Virginia Union alumni. And you know, I hear what you're saying, John, but he's Virginia Union
I've had
alumni.
good. I've met him a couple times. Great experience.
You know, it is what it is. You know, everybody runs into a wall at different speeds. I'll say it that way.
Big men in the same space.
yeah. So, but thank you, Steph, for being you and being a champion, being a leader, being someone that is unapologetic about your experience. You know, I love, you know, I'm never one to say that we as individuals represent a greater group. Like, you know, I work the kind of job where I'm the only black man that does what I do in this market for the company that I work for and the spaces that I'm in. So I find myself often in conversations where I am expected to represent the greater mass, the black man, the black people. I don't do that because if you know me, you know I'm unapologetic about being a black man.
Yes.
So if you feel like I got to represent them, then so be it. But if you see black men and black people in me, then you got that shit right. That's just me speaking on me. But that's how I feel about how you speak for yourself and how you speak in reverence and representation for our sisters. Because you quick to check us. And I love that because we deserve and oftentimes need to be checked. And I think we often don't want to do that with one another. We think that when we have conversations where not necessarily voices are raised, but chests get flared, noses get flared, antennas get raised, maybe points need to be made a little bit more firmly. We often will feel like there's a fight, there's some shade. I don't like you no more. We not friends no more. We mad. No, that's not what this is about. We come in here often. John and I say this on the show, and because he's my friend off of this show, and I spend more time with him not on this mic than I do on this mic, we use the phrase iron sharpens iron. We do that. We do that. And it's generally a phrase that brothers will use to put each other over, to use our wrestling term. But I'm gonna put you over because you do it. And I love how you lead our sisters. And I love how you allow yourself to be led by our sisters, because the greatest leader is the one that can be led and understands their position in leadership. That's you. And I appreciate it. It's time for you to rock the mic and say whatever the hell you want to say to get us up on out of here.
Yes.
Steph B, what you got, sis?
Thank you. Thank you, both of you brothers. I appreciate you both tonight.
Yep.
I appreciate your support. I appreciate the intellect. I appreciate the compassion and empathy that you both demonstrate, something that often men feel that they cannot demonstrate. And I appreciate that in you. And thank you, John, for going back to that. That's helpful. And it says a lot about the man you are. I already knew that, but thank you for that, for going back to that statement. Marcus, you must have been in my mind, because you were talking about leadership and who we are and how we say things. And I think about John sitting over here to my right, and with the wisdom, I called him an owl earlier, because I know that John takes time and energy to invest in his own intellect so that he can extend it to others. And it makes me think about the elders in my life. And my rant tonight is about paying respect to the natural order. And I steal that terminology from my friend and life mentor, Michelle Wilson. And I think about my Uncle Wayne Bryant, Jersey City, native of Coney Island, living in Jersey City, and has been for quite some time. My favorite man outside of my son and my former husband. I think about the mentorship. I think about the things that they say. My uncle sent me a text the other day, and he thanked me for being real and keeping it real with him. He said to me, "Thank you for keeping it real and telling me when you think I'm wrong, or for telling me when you think I should think differently about something." And I thought to myself, the only reason that I feel comfortable doing that with someone who is my elder is because he gives me space for that. He gives me the respect of who I am. He hears me out. I have a fatherly relationship with him that I don't necessarily have in another space. And I see him as the best of the best when it comes to Black masculinity. Wonderful father, wonderful husband, phenomenal uncle. I thank him so much. My daughter is there in Jersey City under his and my aunt's watchful eye, and I know that she is all right. She is all good with him present. And I feel that way, and I know he could feel that way about the relationship I have with Michelle. And I've mentioned her a few times, but I started to process who we are in our community without respecting the natural order of what has been given to us. We have survived the plantation. We have survived Jim Crow. And I would ask the people, Gen X and below, to consider why we've survived it. It was survived by people who had less resources. It was survived by people who had less access. It was survived by people who were more willing to risk everything to educate within the environment. I hear it when I hear Marcus speak of his mother and father and the education they passed on to him. And I see it reflected in the kind of husband and father he is. I hear it when I hear John talk about his experience as a man and the things that he has done and what he has experienced and what it has done for his life, and him trying so hard to push that to other people. I hear a respect for the order of our community. And I want to challenge the listener today to not throw away the elder. We cannot afford to throw away the elder. The people in our community who will tell us our truth even when we don't want to hear it. The people in our community who will call us on our shit even when it brings tears to our eyes. Those are the people that love us. Those people will not be here forever. My Uncle Wayne, my aunts, my auntie Michelle, they will not be here forever, but they are here proactively giving you advice and information. You have a version of Michelle. You have a version of Wayne. Are you listening to them? You have a John in your life. Are you listening? You don't have to agree with everything, but are you listening? And are you listening to hear? So many times we sit back and we talk about what our youth are or are not doing without talking about what we did or did not do. They are a reflection of us. When a 13-year-old, I saw a group of 13-year-olds in DC beating an elderly woman and throwing her off the bus because she told them that they were too loud on the bus. They are a reflection of the parenting that they are getting. They're also a reflection of the fact that we are ignoring the wisdom in our communities. Wisdom is provided and given by people who care and love you. They want you to be better. If they don't, they will leave you alone. My greatest fear for the Black community is that the elders are going to leave and we will be left with very little, because grandmothers are 35, 36, and 37. They haven't had time to grow, to adapt, to learn anything. They're parenting 17-year-old children and 2-year-old infants that are their grandparents at the same time. It's not part of the natural order. The natural order is allowing our elders to speak, and even if what they are saying does not match up well with the lives we are living today, it is acknowledging that there is truth to what they are saying. I can recall one day when Michelle was talking to me about relationships, and she said to me, "You get what you get because you don't live up to your own word." You get what you get because you're not living up to your own word. You're not standing on your truth. And people are treating you as they want to because you are not standing in your truth, but they are standing in theirs. And they're getting what they need, and you are not. And sweetie, you got to make a decision. Today, she said to me, or yesterday, we were talking about something, about me making some progress in an area. And she said, you don't want to go back on it because you don't want people to stop believing in you and start looking at you as the villain, as the person who's making the bad decision. And you don't want them to give up on you. And she said, I won't give up on you because I ride for you. When an elder tells you that, I won't give up on you because I ride for you. These people don't have to do that. She doesn't have to spend hours on the phone with me, listening to me, speaking to me. She doesn't have to respect my education or my background. She's watching what I'm doing. And that is what the elders do. They step back and they step back and they watch you. And you don't like what you're hearing because they're willing to tell you the truth. You know why they're willing to tell you the truth? They have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose. John has nothing to lose with his opinion in his 50s. They have nothing to lose. You're not going to benefit from him or take from him. Michelle, nothing to lose in giving me truth. And the fact that she will sit in a space and be willing to do it, I hope you have someone like that. But when you do, don't neglect them. Last week, Marcus mentioned Pop J and Pop J's perspective on aesthetic and decorum. There's a lot to be said for it. These are people who have survived more than we're living through right now. An 80-something-year-old man has experienced more than you are living through right now. Sure, you're hearing Trump, but this man was living in a time where he couldn't sit where he wanted to sit. To ignore what the elders and the ancestors are willing to give you is such a denial of your own value. When I hear my uncle or my big auntie, tell me the truth as they see it. What I say to myself first and foremost is I don't have to agree, but I do have to hear. And I do have to process. Because at some point, it won't be given. Your children are suffering because the elders are no longer elder. Your children are suffering because you don't listen to the people who came before you. Your children are suffering because you want to be right and you're wrong, so you have to dismiss what the elders are telling you. You are wrong. Are they perfect? No. But they have survived more than you have survived, and they care enough to speak to you. So my message today is, if you don't have someone in your space who has lived longer than you have, I'm talking 20 years longer, 15 years longer, long enough to see a change in the society that we live in today, you're wasting your time. You're wasting the opportunity to learn. You're wasting the opportunity to grow, and you're putting your arrogance and your ego ahead of your good life, your good health, your opportunities. Don't waste them. So shout out to the Uncle H's out there, the Michelle Wilsons out there, the Uncle Wayne out there. Shout out to Big Brother John. Thank you for what you give us. I continuously will receive it, and I appreciate that you offer it, and I hope that I return the favor to the next generation. And that's my rant.
And, #, Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. I've often said that, in the over 11 years, going on 12 years that I've done internet radio and podcasting, the three of us is my favorite combination. I've said it. I've been open about it. I've said it publicly. I've said it privately. And it shows like this, like what we did tonight, is why I feel so comfortable doing it. Like, we so different, y'all. We so different. The three of us, we so different, but we're so relevant. We're so passionate, and we're so poignant in our own ways. And it's just a joy, man. It's a joy. I just really fucks with y'all. And so thank you, John, and thank you, Steph, for the words that you shared.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, brother, for the platform and the opportunity.
Absolutely.
Love you and appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Same.
Just thank you. Michelle, she just responded with 3 heart emojis, and we know what that means. She I'm going to take that. I get a heart. You get a heart. You get a heart.
I gotta
I
say
get a heart.
one thing about her.
Yeah.
I told her one day, I had a stepmom experience. I don't know if neither one of you have probably, John has. And it was the worst experience of my life. It really shaped a lot in me. And I tell her all the time that if I had a stepmother like her,
you'd be okay.
I'd probably run for president. I'd be in the politics in the world that I needed to be in. So I love that woman, and I thank her so much.
We appreciate.
I think about that often in my life, and it's not a regret, but it's just a thought. I think about people who I know, who I have experienced over the years, and I said, I wonder what could have happened if I could have switched out, right? If I could have had this person as a brother or sister, if I could have had this person as a stepmom or mom or whatever the case, how it would have affected me differently. Not that I have any issue with, because I'm from Brooklyn. We don't lose. We learn or we win, right? So I've learned from everybody I've been around. But just thinking of that, you just really touched something on me. We'll talk about it later. Sorry, Marcus.
You got it. Ain't no #, Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy in that radio. Uncle Late says, thanks, Steph. Thanks, Steph. And Michelle says, Marcus, you are a smart man. I appreciate you. Yeah. You're going to make me blush, man. I don't be doing that. Yeah, man. I don't be doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Look at you.
Yeah, man.
Well, what can I say?
Only other person that could get me to do that is Sue.
Yes. Sue makes you blush.
Yeah, all the time. All the time. Ain't her sister. And
That's
Latrell.
right,
And
Latrell.
And Latrell, the two of them, Lord, and Michelle. Damn it! All right, ain't no ask Steph
You
Marcus
just
J.
like the ladies.
It's
That's
just, well, that is clear. That
A
is very
private
clear.
horde of big sisters.
Yeah,
right.
man,
That's
that is very clear. But I appreciate y'all. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy Internet Radio. So I will take this opportunity as I go through my own rant and my closing. I will not take long. Always lead with how the Rebel music song is 6 minutes. I will try to do it in less time. I want to share a visit that yours truly, Mrs. J and Mama J, took a few weeks ago. Where we went to the National Mall in Washington, D.C., and right across from it, we went to the African American Museum, the Smithsonian's African American Museum. And a rant is not long enough. You know what I mean? Well, let me rephrase that. The rant, I would talk too long than to share all of my experiences that day in the rant. It was just such a wonderful day in the museum, you know. And I've spoken to so many people who have all said, you know, it'll take you a couple of days to do it. We did it in a day,
okay.
and we started at the top, and we worked our way down. And I marveled at how wonderful that place was. I found it to be well done. I found it to be black as hell. And I was able to find exhibits that ranged from why black men dap each other up and Harriet Tubman and Huey P. Newton and why we clown each other. We call it the dozens. Like all of that was there. Like they had a discussion about the dozens, you know, dashikis, sagging pants, shell toe Adidas, James Brown, Joseph Simmons. Every single aspect of blackness was covered in this building. And one of my favorite pieces, most folks who know me know that for some strange reason, John and I, we talked about this before we went live. And our brother Jay also talked about this. I and our brother Jay, we kind of store mindless facts. They get in our head and they're just there. You tell me a person's name, and depending on who it is, I may have seen their birth date 5 years ago, but for some reason it stuck and I remember it. Like little goofy shit like that, which I don't know why. I remember stuff. It's my blessing. You know, I wasn't blessed, you know, and cursed. You know, I wasn't blessed with good looks and height, but I was blessed with the memory. So yeah, I'm handsome as hell. That was just me being humble. But I trip off of it because as I'm walking through there, I'm giving Mama anecdotes as we're looking at Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther. And I'm talking to her about Bobby Seale because they ain't talk that much about Bobby Seale. Like you can't talk about the Black Panthers without talking about Bobby Seale. And as we're looking at the Black Panther, you know, exhibit, she was like, "Daddy, what's the thing where they couldn't carry the guns? Like how they legislated? What's it?" I said, "Are you referring to the Mulford Act of 1967?" She said, "Yeah, that's it. Tell me about the Mulford Act of 1967. She was like, "Yeah, it was when, you know, they didn't want them to go and carry their guns." I said, "Exactly. The president of the United States 13 years later, Ronald Reagan. But in 1967, when he was the governor of California, signed the Mulford Act because the Black Panthers was rolling up on the Capitol fully armed. And the president, I keep saying the president, the governor, Ronald Reagan, future president, made a point of saying, and I'm paraphrasing, why we need to be walking around with weapons like that. Regular folks don't need to be walking around with weapons like that. And as I'm giving her these anecdotes, I'm noticing white people around us. Black people kept it moving. But the white people who happened to be within earshot of me saying these things, and my daughter was stopping, and they were listening, and they were hearing me drop these anecdotes on me, and I was talking to my wife about it later, and she noticed it too. I wasn't talking to our child because I cared about them listening, but I noticed. And it was a lot of that as I was walking through that. And it was a really, really cool thing because I'm wondering and I'm hoping. But through my wonder and my hope, I know I'm not the only brother in there doing that. I know it's other brothers in there pouring into their children. And I also know, because I'm not that special, there was white folks listening to them too. It was far more of them in that building than it was us. And that tells me that this building is important. This building is relevant. And it's black as hell. I love that about it. There'll be those who will cast their aspersions. They'll make their comments. They'll say their things. And that's fine. But in the capital of the United States, mere miles away from where these white folks tore down the walls and the windows, the United States Capitol on the whim and word of a charlatan, former ex-president, we have one of the most important historical buildings created in the face of black people, full bull. And I appreciated it so much. And I would endorse anybody going there for yourself, for your children, for your community. Each one teach one. Rising tides raise all boats. Analogy who I can't think of in this moment. Added here. That is my Marcus's unrelated rants. Got nothing to do with we in here talking about tonight. That is the end of the show. I want to remind everybody that independence is key to building your legacy. I want to say peace to all of the stars and squares. In the abundance of water, the fool is thirsty. Those were the words of Bob Marley, who you heard singing in the background. Be blessed. Give grace. Always keep it 100. And remember that authenticity has no competition. Ain't no how Steppin with Marcus J live from NewDen Legacy, and that radio will return later on at a later time. Ain't no how Steppin Marcus J. For John, that's him. For Steph, that's her. I am your host, Marcus J. We appreciate you. Yeah. We love you. We rock with you. Check in with us at another time. We appreciate y'all. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm with this, I'm just gonna lay back and I'ma drop some smooth lyrics. So tune in 7 to 9:30 and don't be late. We about to set it straight. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Word. I'm ready, let's go. Ain't no half stepping, that's the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkled with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you wanna talk about, call it, we hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the beat, legacy online. 7 to 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk, running back. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Up in Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus Stage start to talk. Steppin is the name of the show. Yeah, Marcus J hosting and we ready to go. Yeah, Hunters talk sprinkle with a dash of humor to the legacy listeners and the online viewers. What you want to talk about, call it, we're hearing you. Cover all topics, touch on the main issues. With the flow in this show, bring the heat. The word on the street, Wizard Earl on the beat. We superb in the D, legacy online. 7 and 9:30, please be on time. Ain't no half stepper with Marcus J, my brother. If they can't hang, word to their mother. And he been on this grind for a while. The brother so smart, plus brother got style. Weapon Richmond, we on the mission, before force. And listen up, this Marcus J start to talk.